I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near, in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares through. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me.
Howdy, howdy, folks. How is everyone doing today? The fire department is indeed capped, but we are not even signed up to it, so we actually only have like 24 firefighters on. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you very much for the subscription of 21 months. And Chippy, I did see you subscribe to me while I was offline. Thank you for that as well. We are indeed at Glennon's house for a very important meeting, the one that's been needed. Yes, today's actually gonna be very interesting. We're gonna be discussing some very interesting things. More along the fact that the fire department has gone to shit. To some extent. Oh my goodness. Bobfish, thank you for the resubscription at 5 months. Radman for the resubscription at 16 months. And Jordan, the resubscription at 9 months. Appreciate you all. Let's go ahead and get started. It looks like Ocean is streaming as well, which probably... Hold on, let me go see. You'll be getting both sides of the meeting from us, so don't worry about it. Yes, we're at Glennon's home, just because it's easier. Less lag and more private as well. Howdy, howdy.
I'm here right now, sir.
Wow, we all here? Where's the chief? We're all here but the chief.
I think he's downstairs.
He's downstairs.
Wow.
Yeah, he's taking an important phone call.
Thanks, Garland.
Well, welcome.
First thing you say, I'm ugly.
to
Look,
the
wait a minute,
secret
PD's gonna
meeting.
show up.
Yeah. Public disturbance at postal 6085.
There's like 7 people breaking into somebody's house. Yeah.
Everyone drove their fly car.
All right. I
I
believe.
wasn't even
Oh my
on
God,
shift.
Clark, you're very, very loud for some reason. I don't know why. Just want you.
Ugh.
Just his personality. You can't.
Hey.
do that.
I assume we'll be having the meeting here in front of the
What are you
fire.
gonna say, I'm ugly again?
Oh, much
Why do
better.
we
Thank
just
you.
stand here?
Yes.
Entire COC is here. All right. Well, why don't we circle around here and wait for the chief?
The council. The council waiting.
The council, yes.
Huh?
And Neo, thank you for the resubscription at
Emailed
7 months. You only paid for 6 months? I have no clue, man.
What were you saying?
I'm saying, never mind.
Oh,
I'll
here
just send it
crap.
to you. Oh God, here comes the old
comes
man.
the
Oh,
bride.
quick run. Everyone
Gives
run.
Gives me that
Everyone
white
run.
shops are outranking the future grey shops.
All
Shove it
right.
right in your left ear.
Whoa, that wasn't.
There you are, I've made space for you.
Alrighty, are we ready? Where do we want to have this little meeting? Is everybody here? First of all, it looks like we are all here.
Yeah, if everybody could talk very loud, by the way, just because
Oh, it's so loud in here, though. That's the
Oh
problem.
my gosh.
we're all in the same room. There's no one else around for miles except my neighbors. If they call and complain, whatever.
Okay.
But
Where-
for some
are
reason,
we
all
really-
the way up there, you're hard to hear.
Can we sit in front of the fire where there's like places to actually sit?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a whole couch right over here.
I know, like,
Oh,
why are we
yeah.
standing on the stairs?
Oh, I'm calling this chair.
Okay.
Sorry, off.
Clark, why don't you sit next to me? Why don't you be my friend? And
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Don't know if I
I
wanna
kind of
do
want
that.
to sit in the middle.
I don't know if I
I'm,
can.
I'm
Okay, I'll
taking.
move out your way.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm
this
gonna
is a
sit right
very
here.
casual
Spotlight.
meeting. If
Gonna
you guys want to
squeeze.
sit on the
Oh
floor,
no, Chief, I'm so sorry. I'm just
feel free to.
I'll move out of the way so you can
Oh.
sit there.
Running over the table.
I just want to
That's
get
class.
here.
Careful.
I'm sitting on the floor.
Okay,
It's
man.
on the floor. It's a very casual meeting. It's like one of those corporate meetings
You know
where like
what? Fuck
everybody
it.
has
I'm
like
gonna
a.
stay
This
in.
is too many
I'm
chiefs,
leaving
not enough
anyway.
Indians.
What?
One of these is not like the other.
Right,
I'll
I've
be
came
honest.
prepared.
What? We have an Australian.
Who's taking the minutes?
Wow. Thanks for pointing out the obvious.
Stand by.
I'm just gonna leave.
Yo, Clark, you might want to sit upside down to match your heritage.
Hang on. Sorry, I'll hang from the ceiling. Is that alright, Chief? You
So wait, we
mind?
have an Australian, an Irishman, a Russian, and like everybody else is probably British.
Excuse me?
Everyone else
Hey, we
is
gotta.
just-
Hello?
Except Todd and Garland.
Zach, what you
Just say that I'm.
Come on, you know it's true.
Wow.
Just call me.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Yes. Yes, he did.
Hello? You forgot the favorite European part.
Oh my gosh.
What a great start.
Some mess.
All right. Well, welcome to the secret
Oh, radio.
meeting of the chiefs and line officers. This is a meet we've been needing. I know we talk a lot through our emails, but I think face to face is best, especially for topics that have recently come up. I think only a couple of you are aware of a few situations that have come up, but I'm gonna go down the list of a few things that have happened first, and then we'll get into. Basically, I'll go down by the list. So the first order of business, since this happened about 3 weeks ago, battalion chief and I had a meeting with the Board of Labor. Turned into a meeting with the board with the mayor as well, or was it the mayor, right?
The governor.
Governor as
or
well.
just a newly appointed governor.
Right. So this meeting, both. I'll tell you what happened. I mean, Todd kind of was the one who set up the meeting, and what your intentions were only meeting the Board of Labor.
Yeah, I didn't know everyone was going to be there, especially not UPU. I didn't expect to be searched.
Yes. So, Chief, I know I wanted to talk to you about this, but basically what happened is we had plans on just meeting the Board of Labor. We were sitting in the lobby, and suddenly a man with an AR slung on his chest comes in and says, "Turn around, we gotta search you." So, without introducing who he was, I know he said APU at the front, but I'm gonna be honest, unless you've met these people before or you just remember them, to me it was a bit of a shock. I will admit.
Considering that we've had the governor there himself, we've never
Yes.
been searched.
Yes, that's the one thing, is we've never been searched before. The fact that the governor came without our knowledge as well was a bit of a concern. And then the person never introduced himself. I know that's probably an issue we should bring up to them, but that's what happened. And then we had a meeting discussing Rescue 5's theft as well as the totaling of it. To my knowledge, the meeting was supposed to only be about Rescue 5 and maybe a grant to award us to replace all the items that were broken. But for some reason, the conversation veered off from Rescue 5 and onto the safety of our stations and our firefighters, which confused me. Yes. The Board of Labor started asking questions about basically whether we wanted more cops to maybe sit on the other side of the street, whether we wanted bulletproof glass, whether we want to put money towards bulletproof vests for our fire department.
Okay.
And it kind of took us both off guard because that wasn't what the meeting was about. And personally, for me, I don't believe anyone here has ever complained about the safety of our fire stations themselves just because our apparatus is stolen. I don't believe it implies that, our firefighters are not safe within our own building.
Yeah, it's kind of out of left field.
Yes. So that's what happened. The meeting turned more into almost a slight interrogation with me and Todd. I don't know if that's how you felt, but
I got that impression from it.
yeah. So I did speak to Mayor Bailey about it and asked for advice, but I wanted to speak to you, Chief, and update you on what happened there and asked for your advice on whether we should push forward a complaint regarding the meeting. It's up to you. But I just think it was handled poorly, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a lot of left field by the sound of it. I mean, it's one thing to ask about the security and everything of of our vehicles and stuff. And
thank you,
recent
Burnside,
events,
for the
but,
resubscription. 24 months, man. Congrats on the 2 years.
Suggest that we essentially militarize our station is a little ridiculous.
Any other opinions on the matter?
I don't know if the government really considers the fact of how much refitting an entire station with bulletproof glass costs. That's a pretty costly deal, not only for the actual bulletproof glass, but also the labor-intensive process. As I explained to them, obviously anyone that intends to cause harm to firemen or other individuals, whether that be law enforcement, emergency services at all, a civilian walking down the street, or a homeless guy living underneath a bridge, if there's intention to cause harm, if they're going to cause harm, deterrence, that's all they are. It's not going to actually prevent somebody from doing it. It just makes it that much harder. I don't see it being that much of an issue to the point where we need to go to these extremes.
Mm-hmm. I'm also under the belief... Sorry.
Yeah, in my opinion...
Speak up! I can't hear you!
In my opinion, I think it's just... What is the actual point? They could be using their resources for a lot more important things than sitting outside of the fire station.
As well as that, there could be a lot better things that money could go to rather than to militarize a fire station. We've got a lot more issues, such as putting fire hydrants in Blaine County, restocking our ambulances, ensuring that there is basic needs within Los Santos. I'd rather that money go to things that we actually need, rather to aimlessly go to put bulletproof glass in a fire station. So no, that's
Even
anyone
as
else
stated immediately at the time, you know, that money could go to hiring more officers. that'd be a great way to spend that money.
Totally. I mean, at first it's a little bit
Thank you for the gift.
embarrassing to the state that, you know, that we need to think about militarizing fire stations in the first place. So there's something, you know, somewhere else to start than, you know, at the fire stations, and it's glasses and security measures.
Yeah.
However, I think that it's not that big of a concern about the actual safety, and more of how we deal with it and how we change things in order to prevent the citizens from doing that.
That's exactly that was Bailey's argument, is why are they looking to us to militarize our stations versus why not put more resources to more officers in the city, for instance.
No, I actually would like to meet with them myself personally as well, because here's my thing: is they're putting the onus on us to secure our stations better, to suggest that we get bulletproof vests that we wear around the station, and bulletproof glass and all these security features, and wanting to suggest that police be outside our station. How about this? How about, since this new administration came in to the state and to the city, that they do something about the crime rate in the city? Because right now, we've never had this much apparatus stolen from our department before. We've never had this many incidents at our station before. And in record history, this is the most dangerous it has been to not only be in our own station, but the entire state. So perhaps they should be funding. I mean, look at LSPD. They have fewer people than they did last year working for their department. And look at the crime rate in the city now. I think more of this funding, instead of going into, bulletproofing firefighters and stations, should go into lowering the crime rate. I think that's where that should go.
Yeah. Okay.
In addition to that, who is actually investigating these instances? Who's investigating the attacks on the stations? Because I don't know if anyone else has been, but I haven't been questioned once.
Right.
I haven't seen a single officer at our stations about this yet. They're asking us to take measures to protect ourselves.
Right.
When
Okay.
there hasn't been any measures to protect us.
Really quickly to clarify, they're not like pushing us to do this. They're asking if we want these. There is a big difference between the two.
Okay.
But that them questioning whether we believe our firefighters feel like they're safe or whatever the case may be, that does put a bad precedent. Under my belief, fire stations have always been also a community building, which means civilians should be able to walk in and feel safe. It's there for folks to come in and feel like they're being welcomed, and what President always said. And if we put bars on the windows and bulletproof glass, and everybody around them is, wearing bulletproof vests and whatnot. But
that's great precedent. Sure, we'll just wear Kevlar vests and helmets. Why not? Sure.
Yeah.
The public, we're safe.
If those measures are meant to make our firefighters feel safe, I don't know about you guys, but personally, I wouldn't feel safe if I had to wear a bulletproof vest just to do my job.
Not to mention, it's going to affect our response time. We have to take them off, to put our gear on. It's not worth it. And to wear them around the station, that's just uncomfortable. It's like, you might as well ask us to also wear hard hats, because maybe one day the sky's going to fall,
I mean,
Right.
down the line,
We already wear hard hats.
not at the...
okay.
sorry.
So
I mean, down the line, I think what we need is an actual meeting with them about that topic specifically.
I agree.
Oh, believe me,
So
I'm
we
bringing
can-
up some hard questions when we do.
All right, so that's what we'll do then. We'll set up a meeting with the Board of Labor as well as the governor in regards to that meeting, and see what we can push forward there. All right, next order of topic. This ain't really a too much of a discussion I want to have, but I just wanted to let you be aware. Last week we had an incident where we were called to scene for an officer down out at the lighthouse. Officer down at the lighthouse. Upon me approaching the scene first, I was immediately encouraged and or pushed by the sheriff's department members saying, hey, he needs to get into the helicopter, he needs to go now. It was a situation where, we didn't have medics on scene. We had, I think, engine was on scene. We had just gone to try to assess the patient. And I did have, I think, Sergeant Olson, I think that's his rank, Sergeant Olson especially was very pushy about getting us to get Rosselli. I think it was Rosselli that was down into the helicopter before our before our paramedics even arrived on scene. I made it known that we need to assess the patient. We need to wait for the paramedics as well to know what we're going to be doing. With that in mind, things got a little heated. Olson being in my ear while I was trying to assess the patient. I did ask him, could you please step away and let us do our jobs? And Sergeant Olson did respond with the fact that, are you even doing your jobs? Or I don't remember the exact quote. He basically stated that we were not even doing our jobs, which I found extremely disrespectful. I understand the emotional trauma behind the situation, and I found out that later on that it was extra because the officer down was friendly fired. So emotions are extremely high. Yes. Rosselli was friendly fired by one of his own members. So everyone was extremely on high emotions. So I don't blame Olson for saying what he did. I did went and speak with Valentino and Olson later on. I felt like Olson still pushed on the fact that we that we need to better our procedures for coming and grabbing someone and getting them going fast, which is the main portion I wanted to bring up. I just wanted to let you know the context behind everything. But he did make a general, I wouldn't say an official complaint, but he said that our policies need to change on when we get on scene. We need to assess, pack, and go. So I don't know if, you EMS supervisors and such want to look into that. It's just something I'm bringing up. You seem to be complaining about the fact that we take too long on scenes, sometimes with medical.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if I want to barge in there, in the end, yes, people need to go fast, but it's the paramedic in charge who's responsible of the time, and they take the time they need. I mean, yes, the faster the better. Don't get me wrong on that. And if it's a critical situation, I hope the paramedic will see that.
Well, the paramedic wasn't even on scene before. They were constantly in my ear about putting him in their helicopter as well, which had no medicine to even help. And I did manage to delay him until Garrett got into scene, and we had a medic there to be able to transport him with medicine that could help save his life. That's ultimately what I did. I did not like the fact that I felt disrespected. I mean, it wasn't even me. I didn't like that we had some new firefighters there hearing someone telling them that they weren't doing their jobs. It's kind of demoralizing.
Yeah.
I can understand the higher emotions as to maybe why you said that, just because of it being friendly fire that caused it, and I'm sure that would upset anyone. I mean, if I ran somebody over with the engine and in our department, I'd be pretty upset too. So.
Well, yeah.
Not to mention it's their undersheriff. I mean, you got to cut them some slack.
No.
The big concern is, my thing is, like, we would act the exact same way. I'm sure. I wasn't there. I don't understand the full context.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but could you please speak up a little?
Feeling me now? You hear me in the back?
Ow.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. End of the day, like, it's their undersheriff. I'm sure we'd all act, pretty upset and whatever else if it were the same occurrence on our sides. Or, I mean, this is almost just like bashing them in a way, and I don't know. I don't think that's really fair on them, given the circumstances. Or
that's why I told you I've already spoken to them about it and handled that portion of it. The main thing out of that talk, though, is the the push for faster response, response time, but faster loading and going.
I'd be happy to look into our transport times, just as long as everyone, including them, understands that there's no point to us transporting a patient if they're already dead. We need time to actually evaluate the patient and carry out any needed procedures, because there's no point in transporting a patient if they're going to die before they can get to hospital. But I do agree there has been situations that even I have done myself and that I have observed where it's taken a long time to transport a patient because there's too many procedures going on, or there's too many people coming up that don't know what's going on, that then need to be debriefed or briefed about what's going on. So possibly if we could look into lowering those transport times by updating policies or just by putting out a small announcement. But I'd first have to kind of look into actually what the main issue is before we try and enact on it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's where I just wanted you to have the context behind the complaint, as well as know about that incident in case it's talked about further. I do want to emphasize that it was handled by me, so that situation is either, like I said, I understood the emotions were high, and I even understood it more once I knew the the more context behind it. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up the unofficial complaint about that to see what we could do, because it's still a concern that someone brought up and we should look into it.
The only problem I think I would see is if we were to rush our care, we would see quite a big trend of the care that we're providing to the patients via the practitioners. That will have a large decline if we are focusing on getting the patient to the hospital quicker. There's going to be a lot less procedures being done, and it will affect the duty of care for the patients that we're trying to help out. It will go down.
Yeah. Another thing, who's responsible for the communication for TAC meds and that side of things?
That would be me now.
That'd be you. Could we get a list
Yeah.
of what medicines and what equipment TAC meds have, just so it's more public? Because part of my hesitation was I just wasn't aware of the extent of what medicines they are allowed to push.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll get an email sent out to Chief White so you guys can have a quick look at all of those.
Okay. Are you kidding me? Give me one moment.
Is Valentino calling you too?
He is, yes. Hello, Valentino?
Just told him I'm in a meeting.
Fired.
Valentino? Hello?
Oh, I know what this is portraying.
It might be about actually one of our topics of discussion, to be honest.
All right.
Okay, moving on. What's the situation with Richards? What's going on there? Because we need to figure out. Apparently,
I have a
they.
bit of information about that.
Yes.
Before we jump into a big discussion, may I propose something?
Yes.
The case, yes, that will provide some information for him, but the case Richards is currently in court and not yet settled, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
I was told it was, which is why I brought it up.
Okay.
It is settled.
My proposal, anyway, would be to have Internal Affairs, or namely Dot in that case, would take a deeper look into that, gather all the evidence if he already has.
It has been compiled. It requires a mutual vote.
And propose his results to us so we can vote on it.
Yeah, I actually have all the information now. It requires a mutual vote and a decision on what we go forward from this point.
Okay.
So initially, I was called from my house. I was unfortunately napping at the time. Miss Richards experienced a unfortunately pretty drastic situation. The firefighters that had been on shift experienced a DOA the day or 2 days beforehand, and they experienced 2 DOAs that day involving officers. It was a lot for people to go through, and that was why we had the mutual agreement with Hillside. Unfortunately, Mr. Freestone, which was our personal contractor for that, was unavailable that day. He wasn't able to come by and provide any counseling for the individuals, and it was very unfortunate. She went off shift in a very depressed mood and was under the impression that she was going home. She proceeded to drive her motorcycle in high rates and was pulled over by an LSPD officer. They attempted to have a discussion with her. I guess whether she internally blacked out or if she just, had a lapse from reality, whatever it might have been. She proceeded to go on a pursuit with the individuals. And she drove in excess of 100 miles an hour on her motorcycle. She was in and out of traffic, driving recklessly in other lanes of traffic. She was charged with fleeing and eluding and reckless driving. They knocked down a lot of charges, knowing that she did stop for them and apologized. She pleaded mentally ill. As of right now, she does have a felony as well as a mentally ill record. In doing so, she is set to be released Monday, and
Hello?
we need a decision to come to fruition. Me personally,
Hello?
I don't
Sorry about that. Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, I'm in a meeting, so
necessarily logical.
just letting you know.
Okay. Just a quick question. Do you have those documents we've been requesting?
Yes, this is part of the meeting. We need to discuss everything and compile everything together.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, I
Perfect. All
emailed
right.
Detective Hodge about that we needed to have this meeting here and then get kind of like a list of what we do have already on him.
Great. Okay. Well, I appreciate your cooperation. So we don't want to have to take this another route, but
No. Well, don't worry about it. Yeah, no, we just need some time. That's all.
just whenever you get it, just let Hodge know, or if you can't get a hold of him, just let me know and I can come down and pick him up, or you can bring him up to us, whichever one works for you.
Yeah, we'll compile them and send them in a bulk.
All right, I appreciate it, and I mean, again, I apologize for you guys' loss. I know this is probably not the easiest thing for you guys, so.
Yeah, it's a rough one, but yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I did want to say, I don't know if you want to push this forward to Olsen, but the whole discussion we had, I did let them know about his concerns about response times, and that's been looked into as well.
Yeah, and would you mind doing me a favor?
Sure.
Between you and I?
Sure.
Would you make sure and just kind of check with Dodd after that incident, just make sure, he's got resources and stuff he needs, because, he's obviously pretty hurt over that entire thing, and make sure he's okay.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on him and help him.
Alright, well, I appreciate you guys. You guys stay safe, okay?
You too, thank you.
Also, it would be kind of irrational and to some sort unfair, as with previous cases, as people got felons, they were terminated. So.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you, Sean,
I think
for
the questions that need to be asked are: are we capable of firing someone because they became a felon due to actions outside of their on-duty status? And one thing to note is that
Parker.
We wouldn't hire a felon into our department. We wouldn't be allowed to.
Paul, thank you for the research for 2 months, by the way.
that comes into question of then when we have somebody who is now a felon, what do we do? So
I believe due to the fact that there was a trend in mental illness with her brother, also Danny Richards, before he resigned from the department, I believe the best course of actions would be not to terminate her, but as Dodd suggested, to forcibly retire her so she doesn't leave on the basis of being terminated, but on the basis that she's no longer fit for duty. Because due to that mental illness, at least in my opinion, she is a danger to other firefighters and should be unable to work here. Although I don't think a termination would help that at all. So I think the best course of action would be to go with Battalion Chief Dodd's suggestion of forcible retirement.
I'm a bit concerned on how Firefighter Richards hasn't gone through a mental state examination yet. It's rather concerning, considering the fact that that's what she said, that she was going through a mental episode, and considering that is what the report has stated. I'm a bit concerned of why she hasn't been seen by a doctor. She would have needed to be seen by a doctor straight after that had happened, after she'd been processed. It would
Agreed.
have been her right to go through that examination to make sure that she is okay. If she isn't in the right state of mind, and when she does get examined and it does state that she's obviously not in the right state of mind, then we wouldn't have to worry about forcibly retirement, because all we would do was medically discharge her from the fire department and she would be dealt with that way, instead of having to push her out. She would be sent out anyway because she has something mentally wrong, so she would have to go through an MSE in order for that to happen anyway.
In addition to that, this is just a general question, not necessarily related to her employment status. How did she plead guilty? Or sorry, how did she plead to mental illness if she didn't get a mental evaluation?
She pleaded no contest to all charges. I'm not sure their process on it.
Okay.
I do believe that the state's mental health evaluator isn't quite available at this time, and he probably won't be for another week.
So she pleaded guilty, but she
Right,
wanted to go on.
understand.
She wanted to go on the case of mental illness is what caused it. I don't think that's
No,
how court works.
she pleaded no contest. She received a mentally
okay.
ill violation from the officer that initially
Okay.
arrested.
Okay, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
well, beings of all the traumatic events that have happened, it seems like she is unfit for duty. So.
Yeah.
So, keeping in mind what Captain Shaw has stated, would we want to wait on a mental evaluation before coming to a decision? Because if she is determined as mentally ill by a psychiatrist, then it would be better to discharge her medically rather than forcible retirement or termination. But if it's determined that she is not mentally ill, then we may need to think on actual termination, as her actions are at fault of her, not a mental illness.
I would have two things about that. First, I think we could come to agreement that if she is found mentally ill, then she will be discharged, and if not, we can proceed the otherwise. I think we can, mutually agree to that. But the other thing is, I'd be more comfortable with any of us get in touch with state, to see if the state is actually allowing us to forcibly retire anybody with a felony,
Hydrated.
or if their policy is to forcibly terminate anybody without any measures. Because if that's the
Yes.
case, I won't be standing against that.
Okay. Wait, you're saying that the state is required for us to terminate someone upon a felony? How do they dictate that?
No. That's my question.
Oh, okay.
To reach out if that's the case. Because if that's the case, me personally, I don't feel comfortable with trying to find a loophole or cheating around.
Right, because I've heard of other fire departments keeping felons in their departments before. I think it just depends on the state and then the department itself as well.
I think we can all agree, and correct me if I'm wrong, that no matter the scenario, she is more than likely going to be discharged.
Yes.
The main question is on just what basis are we discharging her? Is it termination, retirement, or medical discharge? I think
Do we
should
want to
wait
take
for
a
the
vote?
mental.
Well, I thought we were gonna wait for her evaluation.
Yeah, we
I
need
mean-
an evaluation first.
It
That's
only
what
really
I figured.
determines whether she gets terminated or given a. I mean, either way, she won't be remaining in the department. I think that's the general consensus, regardless of the fact.
Yeah, so we agree with that.
I
Let's
agree.
just start off with that. Is that an agreement? That
Yeah.
regardless of
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I can just add to it real quick, I feel that for all the work that she has done for the department and all the service that she has given the state, that if we can find a way to forcibly retire her, which is giving her whatever benefits she has considering her tenure with us, her stipend, whatever, I think that would be the best option, just to depending on just because of what she's been through. I feel like that's a better option than just like cutting ties and kicking her to the curb, which is what termination would be. I feel like a forced retirement is a better option and a nicer option considering all the service she's done for us.
Totally.
Like she said, she's been a crew member to us. She's been a friend to us. She has been a sister to us. I think it would. I agree with what she said. It would be bad on our end just to kick her to the curb. I think as her chain of command, it is our duty to do everything in our power to help her. So yeah, I agree with what she said.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll figure that out.
Do you mind to get in touch with the state to figure out if we can keep her around to put her on forced retirement, or if the state doesn't allow any felons?
I think Chief here can probably go speak to the commissioner about the policy on that.
Yeah, I can do that. Are you referring to her being on duty still, or just like?
No, well, generally a part of state's employment.
Oh yeah, I mean, I yeah. Until it's determined, yeah. I think that's yeah. I'll reach out to the commissioner though.
I think as of right now, she's on a leave until the situation can be handled.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yes, yeah, she's on a leave of absence for that. Okay. Any further comments regarding Richards?
Not on that matter, I don't think, from me.
Okay. Now I don't know if any of you are aware of this next topic is going to be a sensitive one. And I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't told I had to be confidential about it, so I'm going to be transparent about it. Because I kind of figured it out based off of putting the puzzle pieces together. But our former firefighter Warner ended up passing away due to self-inflicted wounds, and he ended up also taking his child with him. And as we know, his wife is our firefighter member, and we need to discuss this issue. Right now, Morgan is on a forced medical leave, but we need to decide what to do with her, how to help her. How to help her forward, because obviously this is a traumatic experience, a very traumatic one, and the investigation is still ongoing. And I just need to know your advices on how we go forward with her and help her through it.
Personally, I would say try to get her hooked up with any care she needs and place her in leave as long as she needs.
Definitely.
Agreed.
As well as offering a lot of psychological support as well, obviously with Hillside as well. I think that's definitely something that needs to happen. As well as Firefighter Snyder, as all three of them are in relations as well. He did actually come to station not that long ago, shouting and bellowing at firefighters, asking them, obviously he was grieving at the time, but shouting and bellowing at firefighters why they didn't do this, why they didn't do that.
In addition to what Captain Shaw has said, I think we should also try and not force anything upon firefighters Morgan and Snyder. I obviously understand it is heavily encouraged that they do seek psychological support and support from friends, although, especially with it being so recent to the event, we should be weary not to force anything upon them, so it's time to actually be ready to seek that support. Basically allowing them some alone time is what I'm saying. Obviously we should still check in with them to ensure that they're okay. I think you know what I mean.
Okay. I am gonna go ahead and throw a bit of a twig into the bike wheel here. Morgan has stated that she likes being on duty right now because it does keep her mind off of this situation. I don't believe it's something she should be doing, which is why I forced her on medical leave for the time until we discuss this and then find a recommendation on what she does further on. I believe she shouldn't be on duty for at least, I'd say, at least another week.
I think that's probably one of the most suitable decisions at the minute. I think we should also probably not, so to speak, get her assessed, but get her to speak with somebody.
Won't be back till
because
Thursday.
we
Yeah,
don't
and don't
want
worry, if we put you on medical leave, you
something
don't have to
like
get
what
your
happened
attendance
to Rose
requirements.
to
By the way,
happen to her as well.
we're not
Obviously,
assholes.
It's a completely different situation, but we don't want her to be able to practitioner on a patient and have a mental episode, or to not be able to perform duties to the standard that we expect. I think it's probably a suitable decision to keep her off, and to also get her to speak to a medical professional in order for her to return back to work whenever she feels that she is suitable to be able to carry out duties to the way that we expect them to be carried out to.
If I may, would we be in favor of mandating that she go see a doctor about what happened, and that he or she, whoever the doctor is, has to give a bill of good health in order to, proceed with her duties? She, again, she is caring for other people in this department, and she says she's fine now. And I understand the distraction aspect of working a job or any task as a means of distraction, but you're only delaying the inevitable, break that could happen, especially with something this stressful and traumatic, by putting it off. And it could happen at the worst of times. God forbid we roll up to a car accident call, and there's a infant in that vehicle that is in that accident, and that is something that is a trigger for her, and that would be very bad if in that situation. I think we need to mandate that she go see a doctor and talk to them, and that doctor has to give us a clean bill of health. And at that point, any liability is then on the state who issued that doctor. That if anything does happen after that, and she's cleared and everything, and something happens, that it's on the state, not on us. Because right now the liability is on us if we keep her on duty, but if she sees a doctor issued by the state, it's then on the state if anything happens from there. And I'm just speaking from a liability standpoint. Outside of that, I would love to keep her around for on duty, but I know she needs help. That's the most important part, and we need to care for her, and that's our responsibility.
I agree.
Okay.
In addition to what the fire chief has said, if I could also suggest, it's going to sound weird at first, but just do bear with me. Does Morgan have anyone else in the department that she is relatively close with, that she trusts? Does anyone know?
Her brother-in-law would be Snyder, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Snyder. I have also opened my doors for her to stay with me until she, because she's at this point alone, or where she might live. So I've done that. She hasn't taken it all up on that, but yeah, I guess Snyder would be the closest thing there.
So, if she does get cleared by a psychiatrist to come back to duty, if I could suggest that she only be placed with individuals that, in the event of a mental breakdown, can control her. So, until we know that she is safe to be with other individuals, we place her with people like Snyder and other people that she trusts. So if anything happens, that they can help her and they can control her. Because God forbid she's a PIC on an ambulance with a probie on their second shift and something happens.
I'm gonna step in. I disagree with that. If she's gonna be cleared, she needs to be able to work with everybody. We can't because Snyder isn't always gonna be there. He's not always gonna be on duty at the same time. Everyone has a different schedule, so we need to make sure for sure that she can go back on duty and be able to handle herself. If anything, I think the best way is just to be there for her. Sure, we're there. It is, we are a family, and everybody should be able to help out. If, hopefully, if this does happen, I would hope that anyone here is not only trained, but we're also close enough to be able to help her in that moment.
Absolutely, and I'm willing to partner up with her any night that she needs it. So I'm sure any of us here are. So
okay, I'll let her know then that she's on a continued forced medical leave pending the stipulations of her returning after, clearing herself from a doctor, a state given doctor.
And that being said, can one of you volunteer to reach out to? I'm drawing a blank on the hospital's name that does mental health. Reach out to them and see if they can have a doctor get with her an appointment.
Yeah, are you referring to Hillside?
Yeah.
Hillside, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I'll be fine doing that.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we get into my current final topic, is there any other? Are there any other things we should discuss about? Any issues, concerns, suggestions, etc., etc.? The next topic will be about lieutenants, by the way.
I have something that I need to bring up. It's a bit of a touchy subject for some people.
Oh
Okay.
yes, and when he does, please hear him out entirely before we jump to conclusions or debate it. Just hear him out.
Okay.
Because I know some of you are going to disagree, but just hear him out.
So, this was discussed a long time ago under different LAO department administration. It has since changed. It's been several months, I think around 6 months since this was initially brought up. So there was a discussion for a tactical medic team. And this tactical medic team was initially designed to support LEO in their hostage scenes, or I guess extreme rescue scenes, in which high levels of lethal force was needed. So situations where they had barricaded subjects, an issue with a possible bomb, or any issue where they had to activate either an SRU team, SRT team, a SWAT unit, situations like that. We were initially setting up this program to send a team of medics into the warm zone with LEO, and they would be behind a Bearcat or an armored vehicle of some kind to perform medical duties. It didn't really take any traction, just kind of sat there, and it wasn't really at the fault of us. It was more at the mutual fault that nobody could come to an agreement on how it was going to play out. Since then, I have been reaching out to the different law enforcement agencies, tactical commanders, and we've come to a mutual understanding between us and the, I believe it's the Special Recon Unit, or I'm not sure exactly what their acronym is, the SRU for
Strategic
BCSD.
Response Unit.
Thank you. Their tactical commander, which is Valentino, he has agreed to basically make some of our medics tactical paramedics, and essentially sworn in law enforcement. So we would give them training to be SRU team members. They would go in at the back of the stack of law enforcement officers, several officers ahead of them, one officer behind, and they would be sandwiched between officers, very protected. They would receive gear, bulletproof vest, BDU pants, their own vests, specifically their helmets and weapons from BCSD. They'd be highly trained and able to perform all of their duties properly. It would be restricted on our side to members of the Rapid Response Unit, as they're the highest trained levels of paramedics. This ensures that we can provide very advanced medical procedures and still be able to successfully defend ourselves in these situations. The goal for this is to eliminate the need for staging. So right now, as it is, we have to stage for these incidents, and it takes that much longer for us to be able to go to these patients that are injured, or these subjects that are injured, and we end up unfortunately having DOA in that case, or it will tie up their tactical medics with long-term care rather than short-term care, which was initially their goal. So this will allow us to have people in the RTF, which is the Rescue Task Force, respond in with these units. The people that are on the medic for that night would be issued bulletproof vests and a helmet. and these would remain on the medics at all times. So that if they had to stage from this, they would be out of the view of the building, out of view of any of the hostile situations that are happening. They would be classified as the warm zone, and they would receive patients that come out from the building and be able to perform immediate medical treatment. So our initial RTF team would go in, secure the victim, and provide immediate medical stabilization, not necessarily care, but just stabilize to the point where they can be moved. And they would be extracted to the medic. That medic would perform the long-time treatment and be able to transport the patient to the hospital. I'm hoping to get this airborne, and I've put that into our specific chats for the chief. And I've spoken with individuals about it. So far, our RTF commander would be Shaw here, and I would be kind of handling the administrative side of it. I'd like to know your guys' opinions on this. If you feel like anything of this is concerning to you guys, or if you feel like there's a better way that we could do this, I'd like to hear it. But ultimately, the training for this would come from BCSD. It's up to the other departments, the other law enforcement agencies, if they want to work with us on this.
I personally like the idea. Because staging and knowing that people are getting shot, we can't do anything about it. It sucks. And this will allow them to have more numbers as well to actually go into the I guess, what they call the hot zone, where, you know, we can be there to be their backup aid and whenever they get unfortunately shot down. I think it'll build up inter-department relations a lot more as well during these tense scenes. And it will also help provide us information, consistent information, instead of, you know, every 10 minutes of what may be going on. You know, the TACMEDs, I assume, will be able to relay information more consistently to us about their patient and what we need to prepare for when we do get to them.
Most definitely. I have, as the RTF commander, I have a lot of ideas and things that I'd like to put on the team, as well with former captain Jesse Reese. When he was in the making of this team, we had great ideas of what we would like the team to be and how we would like it to operate. And working with law enforcement definitely is a must in order for this team to work appropriately and correctly.
I do also want to
Sorry to
stress.
bump in, but I need to go. Apparently, some cops stuck on a ledge.
I'm sorry?
Exactly.
A cop stuck on a what?
A cop
On a
stuck on
ledge.
a ledge.
After a sniper
Oh.
shooting, some sort of that.
Yikes.
Okay, have fun.
So I do
My
want to
God.
stress the importance of this. So in order for this to work, it can't be a trade-off where we send people or we don't send people and then we have to retract those people from the scene. If we send people to these kind of situations, it's up to the tactical commander on scene for whichever department's jurisdiction it is to release those individuals. Ultimately, if they're there as a part of a stack, they have to be able to continue to be a part of that stack until released.
Yeah, exactly. I do actually have a meeting in a couple hours with them to discuss the matter at hand. So that will be interesting, and then I'll send out emails on how the meeting goes, and I'll inform everybody on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with it. I would see if you can get all law departments involved in it too, because we can be there to help out on those tough situations, and then they can have more gunmen to protect each other as well in a stressful situation, which I think they would like.
So far, I believe everybody's interested except for the state police. I don't believe that they want to take the risks of having people that are currently not trained in law enforcement as a part of it. I believe if they see the action themselves, it might change that.
Mhm.
But at the time, there's a bit of hesitation.
That's fine. All right. Anybody else has an issue against or concerns? Oh, is this going to be a certification or a subdivision? I assume
None
certification.
for me, by the way.
It'll be a certification on top of rapid response unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that you're saying only rapid response units can be there. That way they have the highest level of care as well.
Yeah, that was a suggestion provided to us by McCullough here.
Yeah. It might also, I don't want to say it, but it might also strangely get more people motivated to get the certification. Getting paramedics
That's true.
medic trained.
The
That was
the
my exact
primary
point.
reason we restricted it to that is they have a lot more that they can do. So what was it? 100 plus medications? You said, McCullough?
Somewhere around that range, yeah.
There's a lot more invasive procedures that they can do, and that's ultimately what they're going to be doing is the extreme contact stuff.
Yeah, we need to ensure that people who are going into these scenes are trained to the extreme so that they're able to handle anything that can pop up. Because if we send in just a normal paramedic, they might not know how to do a specific procedure, or they might not know what this specific medication is because they're not trained in it. But allowing critical care paramedics to be able to catch onto this certification is not also just a milestone for them, but it's also something which will benefit many people within the state. I think the chief medical officer, which is McCullough Bryan, he is already recruiting more critical care paramedics as we speak. I think there's a few interviews that are still going on, if I'm correct by that, Brian.
We have one more to go. At the moment, there are 3 new candidates to fill a maximum of 3 spots. In addition to that, we previously hired 2 more critical care paramedics. In fact, sorry, 3 more critical care paramedics. So depending on how the current hiring phase goes, we could have a maximum of 6 new critical care paramedics.
Which would be wonderful, because then we would have the manpower for the RTF team with the expansion of the critical care paramedics. And then obviously once training happens and everyone's fully trained and knows how to handle things, I think it would be generally a great addition.
Ultimately, if this is passed and this is something that we continue with, and it actually does take off, the few things that we would need currently, Garland here is helping me source a few vests from the LEO departments. We're working on getting a tailor to take care of those so that we can get some logos for us made up, so there's a bit of an identification for us.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with Fleet Services. They've got a vehicle for us. They're one of our F-250s. They're able to put a logo on that so we can have a response vehicle for this. And I believe everything else is furnished through BCSD. But the only thing that I need for this certification, other than that, Chief, if you could help me get a deal where our pager system would be able to have a method we could put onto it for the RTF activations, that'd be
Absolutely
fantastic.
I believe there is a third option that is called rescue, so you have the option of paging fire, medical, or rescue. You could utilize rescue.
Okay. Just so that way there's a method of activation. And I believe that if we don't have the RTF people available, we could still send the medic into the warm zone for that cause as well. We just wouldn't have the people going inside.
Yeah.
I do find the argument of, putting someone at risk a little odd, since we're, as firefighters, are always risking our lives every day. But it is what it is. As you said, once we show kind of what the certification does and how it helps, hopefully they'll be on board as well. Because I'm pretty sure that for big calls like that, it usually state is there as support anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry, go.
We'd be trained for the situations anyway. The training would be exemplary training by the Blaine County Sheriff's Office. I've already seen what they're capable of, and we've seen as well from staging for SRU activations when they have been activating how exemplary they are and how they handle situations. So I wouldn't. I mean, obviously, I'm not a state police officer, but I wouldn't really see the risk that we would be opposing. It would be the exact same risk of a law enforcement officer being injured on scene than it would be for a firefighter that's trained for the situation to be injured. It would be the exact same course for it.
If I may ask,
for a level of transparency here, the reason that I went to BCSD for this is I've noticed that their training is a bit more beyond what most tend to instruct their teams at.
Okay.
If I may ask, how will we be amending our trainings, specifically the EMTA training guide, which is, I'm assuming, when it would be taught, so that firefighters know how to operate on these scenes? As I'm sure it will be a very new thing for us to be going on these tactical scenes with bulletproof vests and helmets. So, are we going to be implementing additional training? Will it be implemented to our initial training at the start of their career? How exactly will we be informing firefighters on how to operate on these scenes correctly?
Great question. So, for current members of the department, there would be a training that would go out that would be mandatory about how to stage for these incidents, and it would it basically take people from everywhere, and we would have them see a building and say, okay, well, that right there is the building where the active shooter is taking place. You know, where would you stage to be out of the way of that incident, but still within range to receive a patient? And we get a basic understanding of, okay, are they capable of determining their own staging location? Are they not able to determine that? Do we need to get law enforcement to determine their own specific stage location? If it appears that, you know, people can make their own determination about a proper location to place a medic to where it won't be damaged by gunfire or they won't be at risk, that's great. If we decide that we need to have law enforcement set a stage point for us, we can do that as well. That's fine. I have no problem with that. For new members coming into the department, this would become a part of their initial Section 3 training. So their medical portion, they would be taught about where to stage properly, how to remain out of sight, what kind of things they can expect to occur, because obviously there's going to be potential for gunfire, there's going to be potential for fires to take place, there's potential for mayday situations to happen, a lot of chaos to happen. So they need to be prepared in a situation to where they're out of the way for incoming responding law enforcement and still able to retrieve a patient as well. So that's something that we can discuss down the road if we want to determine a better way of training for that. I'm all ears for it.
Okay.
Wonderful.
On the next subject. Anybody else have anything that they want to bring up before we go into lieutenant discussion?
Happy New Year.
Bueller? Okay, I do have one little thing. I did notice an incident report regarding sarin gas. It's a shame that McPaula's not here, but are we aware that this might be an upcoming thing again?
Yeah. I really hope it doesn't come back.
I'm not going through that again, I'm sorry.
Well, you're gonna have to if it does come back. I just wanted you all to be aware there was a report regarding 2 of our members being exposed to it, so we should be on the lookout for further exposures and obviously set up our old defensive policies that we had up previously. Okay, on to lieutenants. It is a new year. We would like to hopefully mentor some new lieutenants into our line officer team. We still have 2 more people to interview. 3 technically. I'm going to be honest with I know Albert. I'm still willing to interview him as well, so that would leave 3 more people to be interviewed. I think I did email 2 of them, and they said they'd be around, I think, next week for it. But with what we have, should we go down the list of whether we want to start actively mentoring any of them, and who we're also going to just passively kind of keep an eye on for future bringing them up,
Sure.
you know, stuff like that? Okay. I'm going to just go down the list. Morgan, I think it's pretty self-explanatory that we probably will not be proceeding forward with her at her current state. Anyone in disagreement?
No, I'm not.
No.
Fully agree.
Okay, yeah, and that's very unfortunate. I know she stated she might not even be interested anymore about 3 weeks back anyway. Okay, Sanchez. I did forget to put up my feedback on his interview. I wouldn't personally from his interview. I'm gonna be hard. I'm gonna be honest. It was kind of hard to hear him at some points, just because he needs to kind of drink a little more water, so his vocal cords can be a little more smooth. I wouldn't mind passively looking into him, for the future. But one requirement I'm going to have on him is that he needs to start drinking more fucking water, so his voice can smoothen out. His interview was, from what I heard, was all right. And I think he could be a good future asset if we start veering him into that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll have to talk to him on that. Start getting healthier. Anyone disagree or agree?
I think he's got great potential. I mean, I would definitely say he's
Thank
doing
you
a
for
lot
the
to try and make
resubscription
himself
at 7
known,
months.
and he's doing a lot to try and help others. I'd say there's a lot of personal growth to be had there, and I'd like to see him try and take a little bit more leadership and action on some things. But I don't believe it's a great potential at this time.
Okay, but we can still start pushing him into that direction and let him know, hey, we're looking at you.
Absolutely.
Anyone else commenting on this?
I agree with what Dodd stated.
Yeah, I think he definitely has a good head on his shoulder to be one in the future for sure. So I'll speak with him on it and start pushing him to be more upfront with his leadership. Okay, Harless.
I've got great faith in Harless. I think he's done a lot to help others in the department. He's done a lot to try and better himself. He's well invested into the medical side of things. He'd be a great individual to add to our medical command staff. I'd say just about the only thing that I have on Harless, I don't know if his friendships with people in the department is going to hurt him being able to have a serious conversation with people on issues and mistakes that have been made. But I believe that with great mentorship, he can definitely be a well-versed member of the team.
Yeah, I agree. With the feedback that I had seen from his interview, it seemed like it was rather solid. However, like Battalion Chief Dodd did state, I do agree that it could possibly be hard for him being able to carry out disciplinary actions with fellow firefighters that he may have made quite a strong relationship with. So that's something that we'd have to factor and just keep an eye on, really.
Yeah, I like him as a firefighter. He's got a pretty nice personality. He's definitely very dedicated to the department. His interview, if I remember correctly, was actually pretty good. Application for the interest on it was good as well. I'm personally feeling confident to push him forth onto more active mentoring on him and seeing what he can do. You okay there, Chief? You're kind of clicking your teeth there.
He got
Oh,
bored.
me?
He started playing with his blocks.
Yeah, he's trying.
Sorry, I get chattery teeth.
Oh, was that you?
when
Was that you,
Yeah,
Clark?
yeah,
okay.
just
I was gonna
I
say,
just
I
got
was
start chattering
me.
with
Oh, okay. Any further?
Well, I'm sorry, are my dentures loose?
Yeah, get some glue from downstairs.
Buddy,
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
I gum you to death.
Oh, don't do that again. Whoever.
What are we gonna start clicking? Hold on.
No clicking. Any further comments on Harless? Are we all
I'm in agreement. Yeah,
in agreement?
I agree.
In agreement with
Yes.
actively mentoring him now from. I'm gonna
Yeah.
smack you.
No,
Yes, I'm in agreement.
yeah, no, everyone's pretty much said what I was gonna say about Hollis. He's solid all rounder, I think, especially in the medical side. Some mentoring, he'd do well.
Okay. What was the next one? Winthorpe? That's not it. Like, I don't. Has he been? Has he been
I feel that.
That
I
said it all.
think my side
That-
has
That
properly explained.
has he actually been? Wait, is he one of the ones who hasn't been? Hold on. Is he? I don't
I'm
think he's
gonna be
actually been
honest.
interviewed.
I don't
thought
really
he
answer.
was. I thought that decision was already made beforehand.
Yeah.
with
mean,
the other circumstances.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're
I've expressed my feelings through emails, definitely.
okay. So we are going to, at this time, hold off on that and just keep an eye on him as a firefighter, and then
Definitely.
look into the options later on it. Okay. Davison. I wasn't there for his interview, but I did see the reviews on them, and kind of concerns me. So let's talk about it as a whole.
Davis's interview, I believe, was conducted by myself and Battalion Chief Dodd. Remind me, Dodd, if anyone else was there.
Mhm.
From what I saw, behind what he actually said, he has good intentions. He takes a lot of initiative within the department, specifically within the training division and other wherever else he can. He helps a lot of people. He can be seen as a mentor to a lot of people. From his interview, correct me if I'm wrong, to all who were there, but it was tough. At least that's how I would describe it. He tended to second guess his answers. It took him a while to make decisions based on things. And in joint with the nervousness of the interview, I honestly can't really make a decision on how it went, as it was more than likely partnered with the nervousness. But due to the fact that he takes such a long time to make decisions and second guesses himself quite a bit, I believe that does reflect his leadership skills and how he would operate as a lieutenant. For let's say a structure fire, you don't always have the time to waste making those decisions. You need to be able to make those decisions fast. And at the moment, I don't quite think Davis is there. Earlier today, I was speaking with Battalion Chief Dodd, and we both agree that with great mentorship and with great leading, that Davis has absolute great potential. But right now, I believe he's still learning. I believe he would be a good candidate for the position of lieutenant in training if he does receive that mentoring.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely want to give him the chance, and I want to see what he does in tense circumstances. The only notable command that I've actually noticed from him, or authoritative side that I've seen from him, is obviously through trainings and through hazmat as well. And I'd be interested to see what a more intense situation results in, as far as if he's able to keep up with the pace. But yeah, I think he should continue into mentorship.
Okay. For my opinion, he has been a very good asset to the fire department. As you said, he's taken initiative on a lot of things within the department. I'd agree he will need help to become a better leader, but he is someone I'm willing to give a go this round and be on an active mentorship for it. He might need a little more time during it than others, but I'm willing to give him that chance because he did apply last time as well. He's clearly determined to stay with us and help us out. So I personally am willing to push him forward under the assumption that, he'll need probably a little more time is all.
I believe it's just kind of looking for the time to put in the effort, specifically on his application as well. He did consult myself, and I don't know if any other line officers or chief officers heard it, but it seemed to me like he didn't spend a lot of time on the application. As I stated before, he has good intentions behind it. Just as you stated, Deputy Chief, he has some time to come.
Yeah. I remember myself going through the application and also just going through the interview at the same time as well. Like Brian had said, the interview was rather bare bones, and so was the application. He missed a couple questions out. I think there was 3 questions that he just couldn't answer, I believe. He was just completely unable to answer some of them and repeated himself multiple times. I think giving him a chance would definitely be beneficial to see what he's able to do under specific circumstances. But we'll probably just have to monitor it from there and see what happens.
Any further comments?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say during his interview he was pretty timid. I think, yes, there was, 3 lieutenants and battalion chief at the time, but
That on its own can make somebody extremely nervous.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I understand that, but we still need that vote of confidence. He shouldn't look at us at our ranks. Interviews, in my opinion, are just conversations, and I get it. We're big, bad, and scary, I guess, or at least one of us are. But like, you just got to be
Trying to lose weight,
confident,
dude.
and you need to. That chair's starting to bend a little.
Look.
But like, there needs to be that. There was, I don't know, I wouldn't say self-doubt, but almost like self-doubt. Like, he would always question himself, and I think, yes, there are some times where it's going to happen, but a lot of his answers were, he wasn't sure. And he's a fire tech. I'd expect him to know that, and kind of understand how to process this situation. That was just kind of something left to be desired. So,
You do have a point.
Garland, you remained awfully quiet through this.
No, I'm not trying to be quiet.
Oh, he was nodding
Just
off.
listening. Really?
He's an observant individual.
He said, "What? Huh?"
I just I haven't been around to notice. I mean, I just haven't been around to notice with the interviews and everything. So I'm trying to keep my comments and everything short. So, but yeah,
You comment, sure, this is the first time you spoke in all meetings, so.
that's why I'm not saying nothing.
Okay, so it seems like we're a bit of an impasse here. Are we wanting to give him more of a passive mentorship then, and build him up towards it?
You can. That would work.
Or okay, so for him
Yeah,
then it'll be.
I personally don't see a reason not to give him a shot. I mean, worst case scenario, he takes it a shot and realizes it's not quite for him and tries again another time. I feel like if we don't give him a chance, then we don't know if he's ready at this time or not.
Okay.
Hold on, before we go anywhere else, did you rescue a cop from a ledge?
Yes.
Do you rescue the kitten out of the tree?
The fuck happened?
My
Okay,
hero!
Let me take the 3 seconds. Sniper on any roof. They were chasing him down. A cop was jumping from a roof onto a fire escape, which unfortunately did not go all the way to the top, nor did it go all the way to the bottom. Interesting way for a fire escape. He ended up on the ledge, running around the ledge, and yeah, at some point he got stuck in a corner on a, I don't know, like 3 feet wide ledge.
Cool. So note down the address, and we'll send a fire marshal to take care of that fire
He wasn't
escape.
seen. We have a fire marshal on scene.
Oh, good. Okay,
So-
cool. All right. Anyway,
Technically, it is still a fire escape, just not functioning as a fire escape.
my
He still had
God.
fire to escape.
yeah, you just need an ambulance at the bottom to treat your broken legs.
Yeah, because it's
And a ladder.
Yeah, because it ends at the 4th floor. So you
Yes.
would have to jump 4 floors down. So
Okay, so legs and hips and everything.
Don't skip
Got
leg
it.
day. Don't
it's
skip leg
roughly
day.
a 50
You'll be
feet
fine.
drop, I'd say.
Just roll. It's fine. Just roll. Anyway, go ahead, Campbell.
Okay, so we need to make a decision on the passive or active mentorship for Davis.
Personal vote, I'd say, depending on the other candidates, just like, not put him on hold, but just let us get through who we have, and then we can kind of make a
Well, yeah,
decision as
let's-
to whether a passive
let's
or
circle
full
back
blown.
to him.
Okay.
I agree. I think it would be better to put him on the back burner, evaluate our other candidates first.
Okay. Next one is gonna be Blaze Snyder. That's Snyder,
I'm
right?
sorry to barge in, but
I know.
could you please just, I don't know, 30 seconds or less, just bring me up to speed on which candidates we are and what you've decided about which candidate?
Let me see here. Hold on.
We've only gotten
So
through
Morgan
3.
was a no because of the recent issue. Sanchez is passive mentorship. Harless is active mentorship. Winthorpe was a no for the time being. Davis was a we'll look into it later. and now it's
Snyder.
Snyder. Yes.
Boogity boogity boo, where'd he go?
Thank you for the bits
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Appreciate that.
House is wanted, Chief. Time to move.
Oh my god, and the fireplace is out. I just noticed the fireplace is out.
Wow.
Wow, you're looking at it and you didn't even notice.
It
Nope,
was out
I'm
when I
blind.
left.
I don't think it was ever
Jordan.
lit, to be honest.
No, it was
It
when I got
was.
here.
It's on
We're
a
getting
timer.
off topic. We're
Yeah.
getting off topic.
It's on a timer. Don't worry about it.
My butt's getting numb.
I just haven't adjusted to daylight savings.
Yeah. Let's continue on. So Snyder.
Takes his
Who
spot.
wants to start? All right, fine. I'll start if no one else wants to. You'll
Thank
sit
you.
there and be quiet.
Go ahead.
Nose go.
Let me take a seat. All right. Today on my TED talk. No, sir. I think Snyder has good intentions. His interview was. How do I word this? It was good, but his public opinion would say otherwise. As you all know, I'm from Upside Down Land, and I can cuss like a sailor like the rest of them. However, him during an interview, using that language just sets a precedent of, I don't know. It's hard to word, because words are hard for me right now. But I mean, he has good intentions, but I just think there is some questions to be raised going forward with him.
Yeah, I guess you could take the swearing the same way as Deputy Chief Campbell trying to onboard a new recruit to the department and conducting an interview. And throughout the whole interview, it's F this, F that, effing and jeffing, constantly. It's not really a professional standard that we want to set. Obviously, there is more to the reasoning as well, which will be brought up as well. I believe Battalion Chief Dodd also has a few concerns of his own.
So I tend to believe that he's a bit more of a aggressive leader, if that's the right way to word it. I feel like he's definitely one for the authoritative side. I'm not 100% sure on the leadership side. I've not really seen much of his leadership, other than select fire trainings and such. I will note he's done a lot to help improve firefighters recently, making a lot of points known about issues that have been going on and such like that. It can be good to notice problems that are going on in the department, and I like seeing that somebody's trying to always make us better and always try and improve. I will say, yes, the cussing is bad, and it's a problem that I struggle with as well. A lot of things can be fixed, and that's primarily what we're talking about here is the mentorship. So I believe with proper mentorship on these concerns here, and stressing, hey, we gotta watch your mouth around these situations, and making that a firm point, hey, you're here to do a job and uphold the rank of a lieutenant during this phase of your training. You need to ensure that you're in the public's eye the same way that you would expect Chief to be in the public's eye. If we stress that to him, we still notice a problem, then obviously we can deny it from there. But I believe that it's worth a chance, at least, to see what he's capable of, because you never know. It could be great or it could be a flop. It just depends.
Yeah.
I think, as I stated on the email response to his interview, he struggles to find a balance between personal and professional. I feel if we were to bring him on as the role of lieutenant in training, that would be one of the biggest things he should work on, to be able to separate a personal life to a professional life. Because if he is, let's say he's talking to someone that's made a mistake and he's friends with that person, he's swearing and bringing personal things into that, I don't believe that is the example that we set as a SEAL this department. As Captain Clark stated, his intentions are good, and the prosperities and his aspirations are good. It's just ensuring that he has that balance, which, as Battalion Chief Dodds stated, can be fixed with mentoring. So what I say is, you think he would be a good candidate as a lieutenant in training, given he receives that mentoring.
I'm not going to be the dead horse. I mean, you've all said it pretty much what I, would say as well. He shows potential, however, he has a good bit of attitude. Which, I mean, at first is nothing bad per se, but the way it's controllable, that's the thing we need to look out for. And especially if we take him into mentorship, I'd be for keeping a close eye on him to see if the legit phase itself will show any improvements. Because if that, for example, doesn't, I don't think a longer mentorship will be or will help in regards to the damage that might be dealt in the meantime, if that made any sense.
I don't mean to try and use this against our current room here, but it's not as if we haven't taken on somebody with a sharp mouth in the past. It's definitely something that can be worked through and changed. And just because you carry on and say these types of things outside of the professional side doesn't mean that you can't change that to work around the professional side and completely change that character and attitude. I believe that it's worth a shot.
I agree.
First of all, ouch.
Look, man.
Okay.
Sharp mouth and sharp cut.
Danger zone.
I'm just gonna sudden urge to shift.
So it seems like we're kind of again at a slight impasse on where to take him here. What do we want to do? Give him an active mentorship, passive one, or just deny him for the time being until he improves?
I'll push for active.
Okay, Shaw.
Hey, he's back.
I'd like the same as what we're doing for Davis right now with passive just to see how things go so we can monitor the situation. However, I definitely do think that pushing him onto the tip phase will definitely be a make and break. We'll see how he'll be able to react and see how he'll be able to perform the duties when he does his ride-alongs and see
Excuse me
our
for a
own
moment.
mentorship as well. Sorry, I've got quite big legs.
Okay, well, so the way I see active mentorship is going to be the LIT phase, the active
Stand by 1 second.
shadowing of them, and then passive is going to be more like, hey, we want to see you improve upon certain aspects. We want to see you put your dedication forward, show your leadership, etc., and then we'll get into mentoring, you onto the shadow phase. And then no is just obviously a no. We'll just keep an eye on you and see if your behavior improves. That's how I see it. So do you want to keep him? Do you want to bring him to LIT phase, or keep him on a, hey, this is what you need to improve on, maybe in a couple of weeks or even a month? Maybe the passive mentorship could last literally as little as 2-3 weeks, for instance, because if they don't know they have problems unless we tell them what to work on.
I think how
Excuse
you
me.
describe the passive mentorship would definitely be something that I would recommend him going through. I think passive mentorship would probably be the best bet.
Okay. Anybody else, Clark?
Yeah, I'm on the same page as Shaw. I think, I'm not saying a hard no. I think he just needs a bit of guidance first, corrective measures, and, assuming that changes, then, I think he could be a good candidate. As Dodd said, I think he's more of the aggressive leader. But, I guess we'll kind of see how that plays out going forward, so.
I had to step out my head for 1 sec just to confirm we are still talking about Snyder.
Yeah, we're going
Okay,
around
yeah.
now, making our decision on whether he's going to be more of a passive mentorship right now, which, like I said, it could last at least a minimum of like 2 weeks, for crying out loud, if they show improvement.
Okay. I'm very 50-50, but it looks like everyone else agrees that it's passive. mentorship would be the best bet, so I'll just go with that.
Garland?
Yeah, I think if we address the issues that we can clearly see within the passive mentorship and see if those improve, then I think after we continue the passive mentorship, like you said, it can only take 2 or 3 weeks. Then and only then, I think it would be a good decision to then possibly move them on to the tip phase.
Okay, I'll agree with y'all. I'm down to let him know about these things that we want him to work on, and if he shows improvement within a week or two, even, then we can push him to the LIT phase.
I think I know we've kind of made it clear. I think also, I mean, I know I believe he's taken some vacation time, but I think even then, given his outburst, given the circumstances, I think he probably needs a bit of a break too before we push him into that. So.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely recommend that to him.
He has just lost his brother-in-law, so.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to discredit him. I just think he needs some time before we. Moving him. So.
Okay. Omeyer has not had his interview yet. I think next week he will. Daniels is the same as well, so don't have any thing on them. Garrett. Apparently he had a pretty good interview. I will say also the BCSD Sergeant Olsen did give compliments to his performance as well. So when other departments are doing that, it does show that he's showing himself up on being a very good firefighter. I know Dodd speaks pretty highly of him. He's not here right now, but what are other people's opinions who were there for his interview?
I believe it was only Battalion Chief Dodd present for his interview. Correct me if I'm wrong.
All right. Well, what about as a person that you've seen him, Garrett?
Okay. Yeah, just making sure.
Garrett. Actually, you can go, Thomas.
So, sorry, I had something in my foot there. Garrett seems to have a really good initiative. I think that it could possibly suit him if we were to put him in the active phase. However, it seems like a very bossy leader in the fact that he wants things done his way, and it just seems. Obviously, he can improve on this with our active feedback and through the Sage, but it just seems like he's quite a bossy leader.
Okay. Any other opinions?
From my experiences with Garrett, he is a very active individual. He makes relationships and connections with everyone around him. On scenes, he tends to take a chargeful role. He tends to take sort of a mentor, not necessarily a commander role. He's not bossing, but he's not, stepping over that line. But especially more on EMS scenes, he does tend to take charge as a paramedic in charge. Anyways, I think Garrett does have the initiative and the prospects to be a good lieutenant, but Captain Shaw stated there can be times he can be seen as a bit bossy, which I believe could be easily fixed in the active mentoring phase.
Yeet.
I'm sorry, who we're currently talking about?
Garrett.
Okay.
I see what you mean by the Shaw, what you mean by kind of bossy a little bit. I feel like that's something that can be easily discussed about and, help him in being a little more kind about how because you want to be stern, but you don't want to be bossy, as you say. But I think that's something that's minor. From what I've seen of Garrett, he's taken initiative. He's very good at his job. It seems like he's more on the EMS side, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, heavily on the EMS side.
Sorry, for me, I'm willing to push him honestly to the active phase. I want to see what he's got. He just needs to be known about that. Like I said, we need to bring forth and be transparent with all the small issues that we have talked about, and let him know that that's what they should be working on.
Yeah, exactly. It's better to inform them of the issues that we are seeing so that we can see a change. Obviously, if we don't see a change, then I think we've already seen our decision made there. If they're not willing to make changes to things that we have seen as being an error or something that we don't classify as being a good leader, then I think, well, it's most likely that we've probably already made our decision.
Anyone else in disagreement with a more active mentorship with him?
Nope.
Bueller? Nope. Okay.
None.
No, he's good for it.
Alberts has also not had his interview, so we'll wait for that. So
Just make sure there's plenty of water in the room.
sorry.
We'll do it at a swimming pool. We'll call it a day.
Actually, no, he'll bring the water. Don't worry about it.
He's water boy. Can't
Okay.
We could do it underwater in a swimming
Oh,
pool
I
with
see, I see.
breathing apparatus on.
He
Okay,
walks everywhere with like a gallon jug of water.
So
Hydro
Daniels,
flask.
O'Meyer, and Alberts, I am gonna give them the final deadline of getting their interview done by the end of next week, by Friday. I'll let them know about that as well, and then we can go from there through emails on those three. So right now we've got Morgan is a no, Sanchez is passive, Harless is active, Winthrop is no for the time being, Davis is passive, Blaze is passive, Richards is a no due to her recent things. And then Garrett is active. So we have 2 active, 2 passive, 2 no's, and then 3 that need to be interviewed.
So you said you had 2 actives?
Yeah, so right now, starting from probably tomorrow, I would like a chief or 2 or whatever to go ahead and speak with Harless and Garrett. Bring up, what issues that we're going to be looking into them improving upon, as well as tell them how the shadowing phase is going to go.
I'll grab Harless.
Can we
Okay.
go back to the 2 that we were maybes on?
Oh yeah, so that'll be
Davis and
Snyder. That'll be Snyder
Davis
and Davis.
Snyder, yeah.
Yes.
So ultimately we were a bit confused with Davis. I feel like with the 2 people that we are currently active with, I feel like he'd be also good for active. The same with Snyder. Just because that's not 4 people isn't really that much of a workload for the 8 people that we have here.
It's not about that. You gotta remember we also only have roughly like 3 lieutenant spots we want to fill right now.
Right. There's a lot of people that need to be looked over for this position. I feel like if we limited it to 2 people for active right now, it'll be a little bit, I don't want to say unfair, but more or less unfair.
Well, with that in mind, how long will the active phase last for?
It can last
on
as
average?
generally, I would say, let's not make it more than a month. But I know a lot of that depends on how active chiefs are around to fully shadow them. I know line officers are allowed to as well. We just want to make sure they're actively going out there and being trained, as well as we need people to be focusing on bettering their current flaws, and remind them to that, because I want to make sure any flaws that we discuss with each person is worked on and fixed before they're actually brought in, if they are indeed a suitable leader to be lieutenant. So I'd say a month maximum. If they don't if they are not up to our standards by then, we need to put them back a little bit and tell them, look, we need to give you a little more time.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, we were discussing that the passive phase, was going to last around 2 weeks anyway. So I think
No.
gives them
That's
a
it.
month
I said it
to-
could last a minimum of that. The passive phase is indicating that they have some flaws they need to work out before we look into their
what I meant, the
leadership.
passive
Yeah.
phase.
Like
And I mean, oh sorry, good.
it's things like, behavioral issues that need to just be improved upon, or whatever the case may be, or just show more. We need maybe more time to see if they are more initiative on them doing their leaderships and like subdivisions or certifications they may be a part of, etc.
And I mean, honestly, even if we put somebody into passive mentorship for now, and they develop within the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, I mean, we could easily start, taking them to an active phase in like a month or 2.
Exactly. It literally could be.
Or whenever we'd like to.
Right, such as with with Snyder, Snyder, what was the main concern of him just being a little
His
more
language.
his language? Like that could easily be, if he's being told about that, we just see over a week or two on whether he improves upon it. And is it really just his language that we're putting him in
I think it was
a passive?
also the aggressive leadership.
Okay, yeah, I
think
see what
Battalion Chief Todd can
I see what you
elaborate.
mean. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, there was also a few things put in emails, I believe, as well.
Okay, yeah, we can discuss further on that. I do understand what Dot is saying, though. I actually do understand what you mean by that. We have to also remember we got 3 more people to interview too, and if you're talking about fairness, we should realistically wait before we start bringing people up to any mentorship, but we're not. They're just, if,
Well, no one's saying they have to be moved tomorrow. I mean, we're just acknowledging what we have.
yeah, we're acknowledging what
at
we have.
hand.
Yes.
I still feel like the force should move to active. That's just myself.
Okay. Well, does anybody have any different opinions on the 2 people that are currently on more passive?
I think the 2 that are passive need some time to fix things before, at the end of the day, they need to be molded to the standard. And currently, the 2 I think just need a little bit of work. They're almost there, but they just need a bit of polishing before going forward. No one's saying that they're not going to move to active. It's just
Yeah,
a little bit of polishing first.
Yeah, and like with Snyder, for example, like, yeah, the language and also, being a little argumentative with certain things. Like, he's got a good knowledge base and he is, he does have a lot of good intelligence and wisdom, but he needs to work on being part of the team in a way that I don't think he realizes he's not part of the team, if that makes sense. But yeah, a little work there, and same goes for the other. So it's just there's aspects that need to be worked on, and it's our job to coach them through it, and find ways of bettering themselves that they can help out the department.
Yep. And ultimately, I'll tell you right now, kind of with 60 cap for our fire department right now, I'm looking at basically 5 chiefs, 3 captains, 4 lieutenants. That number can go up. More leadership is, it's all right to have. If we ever wanted an extra captain and then another lieutenant, our numbers can definitely hold that as well. So I don't want to tell you that 3 is the maximum of lieutenants we want to bring in. I just don't want to bring in too many at a time as well, because we want to make sure we have some lieutenants who know what they're doing as well.
Well, but again, even if somebody passes the legit phase, does not mean we have to promote them right away.
That too, yeah, you are right about that.
Basically, we can sort them out now and bring them in whenever we need, and
Yeah, you are right about that. Okay, so the general consensus then, we have 2 active LITs, 2 that we are just going to be talking to them and letting them know about some behavioral changes or flaws or whatever they might need to work on, and then maybe in a week or 2, if they show improvement, we can bring them forward to LIT phase. 2 that are a no due to situations that have happened in their lives, and then 3 more that we need to interview. I'll let them know about the deadline. If they miss it, they miss it, and
All right. Could you
pass.
quickly,
sorry?
please say again who's actually passing, who's just one more time so I can follow up. Who's going into what phase, please?
Harless and Garrett are officially allowed to go into the shadow phase. We still want them to be aware of their flaws that they need to work on too. That's what we'll be looking into. Snyder and Davis is going to be more passive. Morgan, Winthorpe, and Richards are a no for the time being. Daniels, Mayer, and Alberts all need to get their interview done by the end of next week. I will say past this group of folk.
Daniels, Alberts, and who?
Mayer and Alberts.
Fellows.
Oh, Fellows. Sorry, my apologies. Totally pronouncing his name wrong. Anyway, I will say past these interviews, I do want to change the way we bring up lieutenants if we need them in the future. And that is if we just see somebody that may fit the bill, we just bring it up into emails, have a chat about it, and look into that. I don't want to do these applications any longer. I want to just have people show that they're interested by just coming up to us and say, hey, I want more. I want to be I want to have more leadership opportunity. I want to help the department more.
So
And then
long as there's a set process so people know exactly how
yes.
they can progress, then yeah, I think that's fine. Just as
Yeah,
long
it's
as it's
just-
not us picking, because then I think people would get
Yeah.
confused as to how they can move up. So
Of course,
as long
yeah.
as we have a set process, 100%.
Yeah, it's just that we are kind of reaching a max here to our leadership. So I want to make sure we're not, saying no to people just because suddenly we have no spots left, even though we have good people that could fit.
Is that everybody?
Oh, that was everybody. Yeah, we had a lot of interest this time. 11 people.
That's
It's record breaking, isn't it?
I
It
know
is,
I said it is. Yeah, I know I said it to Campbell when you first told me that number, but I think that says a lot about the department when that many people are willing to step forward to be a part of the leadership. I think that really says like we have a good team out of the whole membership. So that's amazing.
I'm sorry to barge in again, but you said 11 people. We've only
Yes.
covered. You only named 10 just now.
No, I named 11.
Harless, Garrett, Snyder, Davis, Morgan, Winthrop, Richards, Maher, Alberts, and Daniels. That's 10.
Fellows. We named fellows.
Yeah, Maher,
Fellows.
fellows.
Garrett. Yes, I've named all. I've gone through all 11.
Yet there's still 10 names only. I just wrote them down. There are only 10 names.
Okay, Alberts, Garrett,
Yes.
Fellows,
Yes.
Daniels, Richards,
Yes.
Snyder, Davis, Winthrop, Harless, Sanchez, and Morgan.
Oh,
Sanchez.
you weren't.
Oh
here
yeah,
for
you're
that,
right.
that's why.
Yeah, you missed
You
Sanchez.
missed that. Sanchez is passive right now, and he needs to.
All right.
He needs to get his health up and start drinking more fucking water as well. That's my major requirement right now.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot to put my report in on that. Oops.
Yeah, sorry, McPaul. Some of us can't rescue cops from ledges.
Yeah.
No, sorry. We're not all heroes like you. Sorry.
Some of us have a meeting to attend
excuse
to.
He volunteered to be going out there.
I know.
okay?
I'm messing with him.
McPaul, there was an incident report regarding sarin gas. So I,
Hold on.
Talking on the radio, but I can't hear him.
I can't either.
Yeah, hold on.
It's just a situation
He's
down
really
there.
whispering over.
Someone crashed another medic.
Got my radio on very low volume.
Sorry. Yeah.
There was an incident regarding sarin gas exposure to some of our members a week or two ago. I just want you to be aware of that if you hadn't seen that.
I actually didn't. Okay.
Yeah, it's back.
Well,
It's back. Surprise.
welcome. Yeah, surprise.
Not again. Okay. Who wasn't seen for that?
You'll have to look into that. And
Totally not.
me and the
Okay.
chief are totally going to get together soon and put all reports onto the CAD here soon, so we'll be able to have access to it more.
I've been available the last couple nights, but you just haven't been around.
No, yes, I have.
So have I.
Okay,
Are
okay.
we gonna air dirty laundry
Oh my
in front of
god.
the kids?
Okay,
You two
this.
can have your alone time when we all leave.
Oh my god. All right,
Also,
this.
please don't say that you and I are getting together. There's enough rumors.
This meeting is this.
When we're all here.
This meeting is.
Can I be excused?
This meeting is now concluded. I would like the chief and Dodd with me though, onto the balcony, please.
You didn't tell me about
Oh
this.
my God,
No,
you
no,
did
not
it.
like that. Shut the. Oh my.
Before all of you
Okay,
leave,
just to
I'm gonna
confirm,
throw
we're
myself
starting
off.
the tit phase now.
As in the Titliff phase right now, it will be Harless
Let it-
and.
No, just we're starting now.
Oh my fuck.
Good, thank you.
No, I think we wanted to wait for the three people that we wanted to interview. Before
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, you wanna
the
wait for them?
consensus was
And before we.
so it's
before
fair,
we,
and
you're
then
right.
it's
You're
not.
right.
Hey,
No,
we're
you're right.
selecting. You
No,
know.
you're right. Yeah, we'll wait until the other
What?
three have a chance, and then we'll let them know.
I mean, why? We
I-
can easily bring them into the tit phase as soon as they get the interview done.
because of the timing of things, and I do actually agree on waiting for the for next Friday. If the others do not interview, then they don't interview, whatever, and then we'll get going on that.
Okay,
That's the
if I
difference.
just may bring that in, wouldn't it'd be kind of cool to bring the first 2 people in now, so we didn't have like 4 or 5 people at the time, and we can stretch it out a little bit.
No, let's make it stressful on the Chiefs. Let's just wait.
Yeah, no. How about not? I feel like having people in different. I don't see a problem with emailing the individuals that are candidates for it and saying like, hey, you're being looked at in a passive way at this time. We're gonna break this into sections.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then if we
want to push forward to change it at the moment.
Yes, I'll go ahead and email the folks currently and let them know about. If you could put it in our bulletin board, kind of some of the. You okay?
Yeah, fine.
Could you all put in the bulletin board like who needs to work on what? That way I can pass that forward in the email for those and kind of explain the process as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'll email those over.
Okay.
All right.
All right, team break.
Meeting is concluded except for Dodd and the chief.
No, it's been concluded.
No, Clark, you be quiet.
Out the way.
So make
Oh my
sure that
God.
everyone is keeping an eye out on the emails that I'm sending out these past week or so,
Yes,
so I can get
sir.
opinions. Thank
I
you.
don't
Yes,
care.
Yeah.
sir.
Also,
I
one
need
one
them.
last thing. One last thing. What are you all doing in my house? Get out!
You okay? You didn't have to tell me
I'm calling
twice.
911 for harassment.
Except Dodd and Camel. Everyone else,
Okay.
get out of my house!
They hear that, assistant?
Get out!
Imagine.
I just need to speak with the chief really briefly first, and then I'll be with you, Dodd. I'm sorry.
Ogie. I'll
Okay.
hide over here.
Yeah, have some pizza, whatever.
All right. So I wanted to give you some information on Dodd right now. To my knowledge, Dodd was there when Warner decided to do what he did. This is what I was told. I don't know if it's true or not.
Okay.
But apparently Dodd refused to kind of give information. I don't blame him because they tried to ask him right as it happened. So I don't blame him or actually no, they tried to ask him while he was actively command and on duty. So I don't blame him for saying no. I don't know exactly what he said. I don't know if he said, "Oh, I refuse to give any information" or not, because they are trying to find the motive to what happened, and they believe Dodd might have that. But I wanted to speak to him on a more like Warner was his brother, basically. So I just want him to know that we're there for him, and we want him to work with figuring this out as well with law. That way they can. Morgan can have a conclusion as to what happened and have closure.
Yeah, I agree. Let's take him out on the balcony and we'll talk to him.
Throw him off. No,
Just take him out back and shoot him.
Okay, why don't we go on the balcony just because
Just
we have a sunset out here. I actually want to see what kind of pizza did you eat. That better not be pineapple in there.
What if it is?
Oh my god. Ooh, we do have a bit of a sunset. All right.
What, you afraid of a fine apple?
So hold on. What do you Oh.
A cigar. Want one?
No, I am good. I'm good.
Oh, do you want a cigar?
A cigar?
Yeah. Yeah? Okay, hang on.
Wow, you're actually gonna light up a cigar for him?
No, you can't really light a cigar for another person. They have to have it in their mouth and take a wood match and puff it.
I wouldn't know. I've never smoked a cigar.
I know, you're not sophisticated. It's fine. There you go. You need to keep the matchbook too. I got a million of those.
Oh my god. Okay. So I just want to make sure you are right, Dodd. That was to my knowledge. I mean, I already know that Warner, he was a very close person to you. Shut up. He was a very close person to you, and I was made aware of, law trying to speak with you about it. I just wanted to kind of get...
Yeah. So, yeah, he's my brother, and I did have to be present for it, unfortunately. It's definitely a difficult thing to witness, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted to witness at the time. I've dealt with situations like this before. It's easier for me to detach myself from the situation, so to speak. But nevertheless, it is difficult. I appreciate the concern. I spoke with Mr. Freestone about it from Hillside, and we're gonna conversate about the situation, just kind of put the thoughts out in the air. But I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there. I miss Aiden. I miss hanging out with Kaysen. He had some undiagnosed situations going on, and every time I would talk to him about going to get help or, going to speak with someone, it didn't even have to be a professional. It could have been family. It didn't really matter to me as long as he was getting some form of help. He wasn't really interested. He didn't care for quote unquote being weak, even though that really wasn't what it was. That's what he saw it as. There's nothing I could really do to change what happened.
Yeah,
But-
it's I mean, I can't even imagine I can't even imagine what you're going through. And I mean, when I heard what happened, I can't believe it. And I know, I've had some personal conversation with Kasem too. Not very often, but once or twice. And once was right after what happened to Manning. And yeah, he really needed help. And I think there were people willing to give it to him. And I can't really say if he wanted it, but in the end, he made decisions for himself, and this is where we are now. We have to deal with picking up the pieces, and I think most importantly, taking care of Morgan. I think that's a very important aspect to all this.
Yeah.
It's been a difficult process trying to deal with the funeral home about what's going on with him, and people coming in and investigating what's happening. I had a law enforcement officer that stopped by Station 8 the other day. Mr. Owen Hodge. He stopped by, wanted to get a good bit of personal information and professional information that I couldn't quite release to him. He wanted security records for whatever reason on him. He wanted to know past disciplinary action that had been given to him. He wanted to know medical history from him, like just things I couldn't give to him. I really didn't understand what his intentions were, but I pretty much just told him, I'm not really going to be able to give you these things. You got to come back with a warrant. And I told him that, if he wanted to get these documents from the department, he'd have to go to somebody else. I'm a biased party in this situation.
Thank you very much for
I
the
can't
description.
really associate myself with their investigation.
Right.
What were the documents he was looking for?
He wanted a bunch of the documents on his disciplinary action within the department when he was here.
Right. I told them when they talked to me, I told them I would give them any IA investigations if we had any on him. But in terms of, I don't remember discipline being talked to me about it. I don't think it's kind of their business, in my opinion. I think he's looking for behavioral things.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what he stated to me. It didn't seem right.
Okay. If there are any IA investigations, fine. But yeah, our self-department punishments, whatever the case may be, they're not really needed to find out what happened. I think right now they think that you might know why he did it. I don't know if you do or not, but that's what they're looking for right now, is what was the motive? Why?
He's always been a complex individual. I never really understood all of his motives. I think he was just scared. He needed somebody to talk to, but he was too afraid to reach out.
Mm.
I think he wanted an escape from everything. As for Aiden, I've no clue, and I'd rather not talk about him.
Okay.
But I knew that he was in distress. He just never wanted to get help. I tried talking to him about it. He didn't really care. He always put on that attitude of, I'm fine, I don't need help, I don't need anybody else to take care of me, I got it on my own. I mean, even financial struggles, you know, down a couple bucks because he didn't get paid this week, and, you know, hey, I'm struggling to go get food, I gotta go down and get some stuff at the 99-cent store because I don't have money to go down to the large grocery stores around here. It's like, you know, I'll help you out, I'll give you a few $100, go get groceries, go get diapers for Aiden. He never wanted to take it. Never wanted any handouts. I don't know. I wish I could be more helpful in this situation.
Oh, I mean, you gave me enough there. I was concerned that maybe, I feel like they were implying to me, Detective Hodge was almost implying to me that you might be hiding something, and I don't think that was the case. I think he just came to you at the wrong fucking time, and he needs to understand. He needs to, you know,
I just
chat one when you're not on fucking duty.
don't want to be a part of the situation that's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I've dealt with a lot that's gone on these past few days, and I don't really have any involvement with his situation. I don't want any involvement with it. It's bad enough having to bury family. I don't want to have to deal with his criminal investigation too.
Right. I don't know if it's a criminal investigation. Like I said, I think they're just trying to find out why.
I think they're prosecuting. I don't know if prosecuting is the right way to put it, but I know that they're up in arms about Aiden.
Okay, well, yeah, it's. I don't know how they do things like that. I just feel like right now they're pushing for answers, and there's no one alive right now that can give them. Sometimes motives will never be found out. I do hope they're careful on talking to our firefighters about it, though, because them trying to... it feels weird, but I feel like we're under scrutiny right now.
It sort of feels that way. I know you guys weren't present for it, but the day that it happened, coming back to station, I couldn't believe the amount of heartfelt that our firefighters showed for him. Like, he wasn't really anyone's favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, people were just broken because of the situation that happened. I don't know if it was because of Aiden or because of Kaysen, or maybe it was both, but I mean, medics laying in the hallway crying in a pool of their own tears. I mean, it was terrible. And I don't want to continue to be investigated by them because of a situation that I have nothing to do with. I did my part. I got into the vehicle and I tried to speak to him through the announcer system of their Bearcat. I tried talking him out of it. It didn't work. I had nothing that I could do to help him other than run to him and possibly become a victim myself.
Yeah, look, man, you did all you could in that situation. I think the investigators are just doing what they're just trying to get answers, and sometimes they can forget that there's a lot of emotions, tied into it by the people involved that are, that they're talking to, and they kind of just see it from the investigation standpoint and not the human standpoint. And there's just sometimes that's just how the job goes, and they just need a reminder, like, hey, like, I'm upset by this and I need some time to grieve, or like you just said, you did your part and there's nothing more to it. Maybe they need to talk to his widow, and but she needs time to heal too. I mean, she just lost a child. Like, they need. I understand the need for getting answers, but grieving and healing have to come first.
I just don't want constant pressure on a family that's already torn apart.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I already said I'd be happy to relinquish any IE investigations on Warner, which, to my knowledge, we don't even have any.
I don't know. I'd have to check.
In terms of behavioral, that's all more state-related behavior stuff, not, him as a person, to my knowledge. So I'm not going to give him that. I sure as hell ain't going to give him that.
I mean, he always seemed to make jokes out of bad situations. I don't know if that was like a warning sign, if you would call it that, but that's, I mean, the best that I can do to help out with that.
Yeah. Yeah, really, it's just him being a jokester. That's all. I haven't. I'm gonna be honest. I usually remember when people do something terrible, bad, and he never really had anything against him. So I don't know really. I don't really know what they're gonna get out of a maybe one file, but.
I'm sorry that I can't be more helpful to you guys.
No, I just want to make sure you're all right.
I'm hanging in there. It takes time.
Yeah,
but...
I just don't want them trying to dig into you just because you were there or you were his friend and force you to talk about it when you're not ready or you don't have any more than what you've already told them.
I'm all right. I'm not gonna get pushed around by their investigation. Like I said, I have nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something that I can do to help as far as being family and knowing him on a personal level, then I'm happy to comply and help, but I just don't really know what that could be.
Fair enough. Well, I'll take care of the files they want, which again they're probably gonna be sorely disappointed.
So I'm here with Campbell and Dodd right now, and we were just talking about this whole thing and how law enforcement investigators need to be a little more cooperative themselves and a little compassionate themselves with the emotions that are tied into this. And Campbell and Dodd, interesting fact. Is you okay with me telling this, Shaw? Yeah. Yeah. So there is a detective. Can I name the detective who is trying to do this? Okay. So there's a detective Hodges in the Blaine County Sheriff's Office. He went to one of our firefighters' houses and interrogated them the other day. And
what?
It got heated. And now this detective is on a crusade to get warrants to investigate the entire department, get whatever documents he wants, so on and so forth. That's allegedly what's the case. This is being tipped off to us by someone who doesn't want to. He can get in trouble for giving us this information.
I'm sorry. Excuse me?
Yeah.
So he's ruining my family's life, and he's ruining my work family's life.
That's what he's doing. He's starting to dig into lives of firefighters who aren't even involved in this situation.
Yeah. So let me just finish this conversation with Shaw. I just wanted to pass that on to you guys.
Okay, well, I've had it there. I already told them that I'd be willing to give them the documents they need, but if they're gonna start going to our fucking houses, no, I'm putting my foot down. That's just them showing mistrust in us for no fucking reason.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm gonna speak to the sheriff about this. Because this is ridiculous.
Man needs to be brought up on charges.
Yeah, this detective... Well, here's the thing, yeah, the detective is getting... First of all, they're being impatient. Second of all, they're starting to pry into things they shouldn't be prying into. They're getting way too personal about it and looking into the wrong things. And I'm not going to have my firefighters be interrogated when they... there's not even a name on the file for Warner about it, so... Yeah, me and Chief will handle that. Because, yeah, we're not gonna have that. Definitely not gonna have that.
I'm gonna remain out of this, or I'm gonna lose my temper more than I want to.
Well, unfortunately, you might be brought into it considering you're a close friend of him, and they always
As far as
investigate
action
the close...
against him right now.
Right, yes, okay.
I'll wait until you all finish your stuff.
Yeah. Alright, we need... Chief, me and you need to go and speak to the sheriff about this, because I'm not having this happen.
Way ahead of you. I don't know if he's on duty or not, but anyone have his number? Because I had the old
yes.
sheriff's number. Okay, can you
Oh, the
text him and
sheriff's
say-
number? I don't know the sheriff's number. I know the
can-
detective's number.
I don't want to go to him. I want to go above him.
Well, no, that's what I want to do. I want to go way
Just
above.
call the
Well, here's
BCSD's
the thing
main
is-
office right now.
Here's the thing: when Valentino called me, he asked me about the files, and he said, you know, and he at the end he did kind of imply, you know, we don't want to go and get warrants on you and do all this shit, and now
For
it's
what? What are they gonna find? We have nothing on Warner.
I
Exactly,
could make two
that's what I
calls
just-
and get that phone number real quick.
Yeah, please.
That's exactly the
All
problem. Is we now that I think about it, I don't believe we actually have any eye investigations on him. Most of his things were kind of on an out of state type deal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and I'm
honestly,
not,
you know
and I'm
what?
not giving him that.
If they want documents, I'll give them. I'll give them his training records. I'll give him all the
Hey, is this
useless
Val?
information. But, like, I'm
Is this
all for being
Valentino?
cooperative, but that's honestly
Well,
bullshit.
they're starting to... I don't like that they're asking for us to be cooperative, but they're not even
Okay,
giving us
I'm a
time to do so, and then already threatening us, as well as...
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah, no, we're driving up there if he's up there.
Who? The detective or
Sheriff.
the sheriff? Okay, I do need to use the restroom if we're gonna do that, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, same. Wait, you first.
I gotta use the... Okay, I guess this is gonna get some spice... Okay! What? Hold on, I gotta go use the restroom, guys. This stream has lasted a little longer than I intended, so... Let me... This is where the bathroom is. Where the fuck is the bathroom? Wasn't it right here? Wasn't there a bathroom in this house? I don't remember. Whatever. Okay. Where's my be right back? Nope, that's not starting soon. Alright, I'll be right back, guys. Hello? I think that detective is gonna get in deep shit, dude. Okay, what's going on?
It just went to voicemail. I'm gonna try email them real quick.
Okay, well, right now, if they're going to be playing that game and going to our firefighters' houses after looking them up just to interrogate them, I will force them to get a warrant for all this stuff just to make it harder for them. I'm not going to have them interrogate our firefighters who are not part of this.
Like, what happened to working together as government departments? Like, why is it like?
Let me call Valentino about this and see if he even knows about it, because it could be Detective Hodge working on his own.
Yeah,
So,
we actually
I
just
just
called
got
him
off the
this.
phone
Oh,
with
you
him.
did
He
just-
asked if this was part of the investigation against us.
He asked what?
Against us. Wow.
Yeah, he asked if it was part of the the reason that I was looking for the sheriff's
Actually,
phone
you
number.
know
He
what?
asked if it was part of the investigation.
I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna
Is
call
he
him. 'Cause,
blaming us for Warner's death?
Yeah, give me a second.
Because that's what I'm trying to get a feel for.
There's this damn number. Hang on.
I'm gonna call Hodge.
I'm speaking.
Howdy, is this Detective Hodge? I'm sorry?
Yeah, I am.
It is? Okay, Detective, do you mind me asking why you're going to our firefighters' houses and interrogating them?
Getting them. Primarily, I was giving them something that was related to them.
You were given something...
I have a job I have to do, so.
You have a job to go to someone's house?
Related to my case, 100%.
Okay, which firefighter is it?
What's that?
Which firefighter is it?
Wait, hold on, I have 4 people talking to me at once. What?
Which firefighter did you go to?
Went to Morgan.
Oh, you went to Morgan. Okay, well, we'll see. Now that makes a little more sense. That's fine. Okay, my confusion is right now how you all are talking to us. It makes me think you are investigating the entire fire department for the death of Warner, who has not been a fire department member for I think 6 months now. So you might
Chief,
be
can I call you
asking...
back here in a second?
No,
Can I call you back in a second?
do not.
I kind of have to. My major's asked me to hang up the phone, so.
Do not, okay.
We'll call you back here in a
Well, we're
second.
coming up there to speak with your major at this point, because right now you are doing a full investigation on our fire department when none of us are part of this, and I don't appreciate you acting like we're the result of Warner's death.
Did those words ever come out of my mouth, Chief? Either way, I will call you back here in a minute.
Sure. Campbell's not having it, man. Hell yeah, the heat.
Yeah. So anyway, if all right, just a couple questions because I don't know. This seems like it's spiraling, and I'm trying to figure out what is going on here. So obviously, this is about the Warner suicide. I mean, we just called to get a phone number from you for the sheriff, and I mean,
Howdy.
Got apologies. I had someone talking to me.
Okay.
So, I guess what are you confused about with my investigation for me
it's-
merely asking for documents
Okay,
relating
no,
to
the
a former employee that worked there?
Okay, first of all, in terms of the documents, you're gonna be getting those. If there's any, the thing is, there's no IA investigations on Warner. There's no behavioral investigations or anything like that on him. The only thing that we can give you at this point is training, and maybe some feedback documents. I don't fucking know, but there's nothing in there that's going to indicate giving you a reasoning for his death. I'm telling you that now. We'll still give it to you, but any terms of RA punishments, things like that. All of those that we do have are more kind of out of state issues, if you know what I mean. And I'm not giving you that. I'll tell you that. But in terms of on the file as as him as a firefighter, we literally have nothing on him. You can ask about how he acted within the fire department. Fine. But I spoke with Dodd, and I know you're trying to find a motive for what happened. And Dodd, who's his brother, doesn't even know what the fuck happened and why Aiden was killed in this situation. Okay? But right now, the way things are being worded to us from multiple parties is that you're doing an investigation on the full fire department. And it makes me
It's not the case, Chief. If you want to take it that way, you can, but that's, again, not the case. Because as I stated to you, I'm merely wanting documents in relation to the person who's involved in a homicide case, Jason Warner.
Okay,
If
then...
you don't like that? Well, then, like I said, I will gladly go the Warren route, and I will just go over there and get the papers myself.
Okay,
stated
first of
to you...
all, hold on. First of all, you're threatening me of something that's not even relevant to this. I just told you the documents will give. That's fine. So don't threaten me about a warrant, okay?
Chief, it's been 72 hours, and I still have yet to have any paperwork in my email.
We need a discussion.
You get paperwork into my email relating to a homicide investigation, Chief? Ridiculous.
72. Okay.
It's 72 hours, Chief.
If we're gonna start talking about your timing of getting investigations done, I've got a lot more to give to you on that. Okay?
Well, if you want to, go ahead and go to my major, and we'll talk about it that way.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that then.
Considering you're calling me on my off time, I'm gonna go ahead and hang up the phone now.
Clearly you're not on your off time because you went to a firefighter's home, but okay.
I have not gone to a single firefighter's home today.
Sure. I'll be speaking to your sheriff about this. Thank you.
Okay.
They're not giving anyone time to grieve. They're just making... No. Let me finish.
Oh, yeah,
They're
baby.
making demands of people who are still... haven't even wiped the tears from their faces. And not only that, we are 100% willing to cooperate with your investigation and give you the documents that you need.
Let's go.
But showing up at people's houses is what I'm allegedly finding out, and grilling people like who aren't even involved is downright disrespectful, uncalled for, and unprofessional. Like there are people here who have like access to these documents that if you need them, we will work to getting you to them. But having your investigator, Hodges namely, threatening to get a warrant to investigate the whole department and take everyone down is unacceptable. And if I see that deputy, I'm going to have words with him if you don't.
Go.
Yeah, absolutely.
My first instinct was to come up to here as soon as I heard the information.
I'm sorry.
I can't believe that they're going around doing that.
I don't know why.
I literally just told Hodge on the phone, we're getting the paperwork to you, and he yelled at me, threatening me again for warrants, even though I told him I would get it to him. And he's talking about it's been 72 hours.
Threatening?
He literally threatened me, yes. It
A
was an
warrant?
actual... yes, he actually threatened to be like, okay, if you're not going to give us the documents when I just said it 2 seconds before, I'm getting you the information. I had to speak to my chiefs.
Jesus Christ.
How is this? How on fucking earth has this gone from somebody ending their own life to
An investigation
a whole
on...
department being subpoenaed?
Yes, just...
How has that gone like that from that?
He has not been part of a department for, 6 months?
We medically discharged him.
Yes.
This is out of order, completely unorthodox and unethical.
Yes, and it makes me... I want to believe that maybe it's this detective that is going off the rails, and that it's not the full department doing it.
Makes me sick to my bones to hear.
Right. He needs to... Hodge needs to understand that we all have shifts. as well. We can't 72 hours fine, but I was, on break the last 2 fucking days. Yeah, I'm not gonna go. The last thing I'm gonna do on my off time is think about that.
I think he also needs to understand that there have been 2 lives that have been taken within this whole investigation.
And he's blaming the fire department for it, clearly.
We medically discharged him because we saw that he had issues, and we wanted Warner to get help, which is why we medically discharged him, so he could gain that help from Hillside, from the medical center, from doctors. There were countless letters that we had received, and that we had. That was
I
the
really
whole
want to
reason
see
to why we
Ocean's
medically
part to this,
discharged
man.
him.
It's so juicy, man. Yes, please remember this is roleplay, guys. Please remember
I
it's
just can't
roleplay.
believe that it's come to this. You might be right. It might just
Civic
be
might be
one
doing this in
detective that has
person,
gone
on
off the rails, but it
purpose.
is completely out of order. There are so many emotions involved in this. I'm so sorry, Dodd, that you have to go through all of this.
Just Civic, yeah. He might be playing a corrupt deputy, we don't know. He might be doing this on purpose. No, listen.
Yeah, he even said that, like, you need to go to somebody else because I'm way too involved in this. And I don't know how that was received by your investigator, but there's a couple other line officers and chiefs here who'd be more than willing to work with him. But either he has to eat some humble pie and take a step back and handle this more like a compassionate person than what I'm viewing as just someone trying to get answers and not caring about anyone who gets in his way. It's either he's got to do that, or my recommendation is you reassign a different investigator, because this guy is causing problems. And I'm not going to sit here and have members of my department, my family, grilled the way that they are when they're grieving. There is just got to be some level of compassion here, like something. She might be. I stepped away so I could hear you, but I mean, I'll call her when I get off with you, but you know.
Yeah, Glennon and Campbell are both like Papa Bear and
Yeah, I
Mama
gotcha.
Bear. As soon as one of their firefighters are attacked like that, they're gonna go
Yeah.
off their fucking rails, man.
Yeah, if you want to meet somewhere, are you up at the you want to be at one of the stations, or? Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll come up. Yeah, it's
I'm
better when
going.
it's face to face.
Oh
So.
yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And believe me, I got nothing. I'm not angry at you. I'm just angry at like the way this is being handled, because, like I said, just if there's no level of compassion in this investigation, then yeah, of course people are gonna close up on you and clam up. Like they're not gonna want to deal
Thank you
with
for
you.
the donation there. Appreciate you a lot. I don't know who it is because I can't see.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, that's exactly what Hodges is doing. Unfortunately, is he's ripping open wounds that haven't even had a chance to heal yet. Like they're still bleeding, and he's kind of just throwing vinegar in the wound, you know. Yeah, so here, let me hang up with you, and I'll meet you up there. Cause I don't know if she's got a head start on me or not, because I was talking to you. So, all right, thank you.
Okay. Can I go
Oh,
with
you're
you?
here. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't turn my head to see if you were still with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When I spoke with Hodge, literally explicitly said, "Hey, I'm just letting you know we don't have a lot on him. I can give you training records and stuff, but we don't actually have any eye investigations on him, and I'm not gonna give you our out-of-state behavioral records if you knew what he meant, for obvious reasons." And then not only like 10 seconds later, he threatened me again about warrants and stuff when I asked him, I don't remember what I asked him. I was irritated by him. He literally threatened me. It was an actual threat that saying, okay, you know what, we're just gonna... Oh, that's what it went. He was talking about the timing of how quickly I was getting those documents to him. And I told him I had to speak to the chiefs. And, you know, and people have shifts. I was off duty 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And then that's when he threatened again to get warrants out on my entire department. And
Yeah, okay.
and I told him, I don't remember what I said there, but he said, go speak, you know, if you have a problem, go speak to my major. And I said I will, and then I hung up.
Okay.
So.
All right, yeah, let me use the restroom real quick, and then I'll meet you by my truck. It's in the garage.
Okay.
We're gonna meet him up at Sandy.
Yeah, we need to handle this, because I literally was just talking about how we need better interdepartment relations, and when you have a detective doing this, it's going to cause a rift.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, I'll meet you by the truck.
Okay, yeah. I'll let him know.
She didn't have to witness that.
Yeah.
All right, myself and Chief are gonna head down there and speak on this matter and hopefully resolve it. So I do hope you both have a good night. Sorry again, it happened.
Do you want me present for that?
I believe it's not a good idea, considering, you know, your relationship with Warner at the time, and it is about this.
Okay.
But
if
we will let you know
that's
how
what
it
you
goes.
think is best.
I do. Yeah, I believe me and the chief should handle that and get all the we'll get all the heat on us, or whatever the case may be. I don't know what's gonna happen. But
okay.
We're gonna make it very well aware that they need to simmer down.
Exactly.
All right, I'll see you both tomorrow if you're on shift.
Okay.
Yeah, most likely.
Thank you, Campbell. I really appreciate it.
Of course. We're family here, and we need to have each other's backs.
Sorry that you guys got dragged into this.
That's what we are. We're Mama Bear and Papa Bear. We're gonna freaking scratch up anyone who fucks with our little bears. All right, I'll see you guys around. What's up?
Take care.
Aww. Dude, I haven't been hyped up for RP in here for so long. This is amazing. Yeah, Warner just fucking gave some good RP, man. Which truck is this? This one? Who knew that a death would cause so much RP? That's why there needs to be more permas, in my opinion. People need to not be afraid of permaing. I'm going to wait for him.
Take care.
Can someone tell the chief that he needs to take down his fucking decorations? It ain't Christmas anymore.
Tell him yourself, I think he's coming.
I will, yeah.
Oh, there we are.
Thank you. I'd rather have yours though.
I know.
You
I'm
can,
more of a ram guy.
If you can buy another one without that patch on the side, you let me know.
We'll be all right. We'll do.
You gotta.
You ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm
What are you gonna
ready.
say?
For the first time, I think ever, the fire department's gonna be starting the fire, huh? I need
Eh.
you to pull up. By the way, I can't get in.
I didn't start the fire.
Ugh, I don't want this conversation. Did at least the major seem somewhat empathetic?
I think so. I think he understood where I was coming from with it. I was like, look, like your investigator is upsetting people, and it's not helping your investigation if you're ripping open wounds when they haven't even healed yet.
Shit, yeah. When did this even happen? Like last week?
Like last week, and grilling somebody in front of the grieving widow who just lost their baby. Like, holy shit.
I know, that's fucking ridiculous.
I think this investigator, like I've met him before. He okay, there you go, buddy. Just GPS real quick. I met this investigator before. He Jesus Christ. He was like commenting about this truck before, like I've got more lights in it, and he was like, oh, it's not enough lights in this thing.
He's done
And
the same to me. He's done the same to me, actually.
yeah, and I'm like, dude, lay off. You're not even in our department. Like, don't worry about it. Like, you guys drive vehicles with nothing on the side that say anything. Like, that's part of your job. Like, you don't see us bitching about that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a big fan of this. I don't like that he threatened to get warrants and just tried to kill my conversation just because I was asking him to calm the fuck down, basically. I was doing so respectfully, but obviously I was irritated. I was trying to get some answers and he wouldn't answer it.
Yeah, so basically, just to sum up what I'm gathering from you and what others have said. So from you, you've told him that there are no documents to give him that are pertinent to the investigation. So he threatens to get a warrant.
Yep.
And then other people say, hey, like, I'll look into getting you the documents, but I'm grieving right now. I need some time. Okay,
But-
fine. I'm just gonna get a warrant. Like, that's not right.
Yeah, I told him that we can give him training, records. We can give him feedback records if we have them, but we literally have nothing on him other than maybe his medical leave, which that was 6 months ago. That's the only thing that could possibly help him. I'm not gonna give him his out of state, information for obvious reasons. There's nothing on him. That's it.
Yeah, there's nothing on.
Sorry to bust your fucking bubble, but you don't need to be tearing the inside of the fire department and acting like we're the fucking criminals here. This man killed his own son and himself.
Yeah, and the entire department is grieving his loss and what he did. We're all really upset about it, and to treat us like we're criminals is unfair.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's unprofessional. I'm beyond myself that someone can treat others like this.
Danger zone.
It was Morgan that they went to, by the way, which makes a little more sense, but I don't know the context behind it. Yeah, apparently went to Morgan's house, but I didn't know detectives could just walk up to your house like that and start questioning you, but I don't know.
They can. I mean,
Yeah.
especially since she's the widow, you know.
Yeah, that's why it made more sense. I said, okay, that makes more sense. And then, I discussed about the paperwork, and then he threatened to warrant us. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was wondering if he was going to do that.
I think you need to go to which station are you going to?
He said me about Sandy.
Oh yeah, okay. I just don't want firefighters thinking that they think that we're criminals, because right now that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, and we don't need to have the whole department. Like I was trying to explain, like we don't need the department dragged down into this. And Valentino misunderstood me as like Hodges is trying to drag down the department. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're dragging down the department lower, and of course nobody's going to want to talk to you or help you because you're making them feel bad and making them feel worse when they're grieving.
Mm-hmm. Who are we speaking to? The major?
Yeah, Major Valentino.
Okay. Oh, we're speaking to Valentino. Okay.
Yeah, he said he's gonna
He's
be
a major now?
He I guess so.
Is he actually a major?
Oh yeah, it must have been recent because he said like captain and then he was like, oh,
Yeah,
I
that
mean
must have been a
major.
really recent promotion for him.
Yeah.
Oh
But
shit.
he also couldn't say very much
Oh,
to
he
me
is
on
a
the phone
major.
because he had someone in the car that's related to the family, which I don't know who that would be.
Oh, that yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a new promotion. I think Valentino, he tends to be very understanding and understands both sides. So
Yeah, I hope so.
I
I know I was abrasive on the phone with him, but like,
yeah.
I'm upset.
Oh yeah, we have every right to be as long as we're so respectful. That's what I was to Hodge. I don't
Yeah,
like
well.
his. I don't like him suddenly turtling up and be like, well, speak to my major about it. Like, how about you deal with the problem yourself and fix it? But okay, I just gotta. Kenai is staying with a friend right now.
Okay, good. Yeah, like we're not trying to hide anything. Like, God, like
Yeah, just be
why?
patient. Fuck.
Like, what happened to interdepartmental like courtesy and working with each other and not treating each other like we're gangs that are basically on different sides? You know, that's what it feels like sometimes. Oh, Val's calling me, but
Yeah, we're almost
down the
there
road.
anyway. Yeah,
Well,
I don't understand why. Because Hodge was acting like Dodd was covering up something, which I don't like. That accusation. It's just a mess.
yeah.
Am I flipping? Oh, I am flipping people off suddenly. Oops.
Yeah, great way to start this
Look,
this discussion.
It's because I looked at my phone. Let me just get out of the fucking car before I stop doing it. I didn't see that. Howdy.
Howdy. My fellow deputy here wanted to introduce himself to you guys, and then we can, the three of us, can go upstairs and speak.
Howdy there, sir.
I just wanted to introduce myself. You probably don't know me because I wasn't involved in his life too much, but I'm your, well, I guess, ex-firefighter's brother.
Oh!
I wasn't too involved in his life too much. I tried to be there somewhat, but I just felt it was a responsibility of mine that was hanging over my head to at least introduce myself to the other half of his family that he held close to him.
Oh yeah, it's nice to meet you, and I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope we can all move forward with this, and learn from what happened, and remember him.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your guys' loss as well on both ends. I'm taken aback by everything that happened, and all I can do is apologize. I'm sorry.
Hey, you got nothing to apologize for, man. It's not your fault.
I just wish I could have been there for him more. I failed as a brother and an uncle.
I don't believe you failed in anything.
You know what you could, man.
Either way, I'll excuse myself now to the back.
Of course.
Okay. we can take this upstairs.
Yep.
Sure thing.
I know this is out of turn, but I didn't. I do congratulate you on your promotion.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Seems like it was very recent because you were captain last time we talked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that slip up on the phone.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to everything. Shit, I called myself as Charles too the other day. I don't even know why I did that. Just step in here. Make sure you're using like your normal voices. Try to keep this
yep.
conversation as held inside of here as we possibly can.
Hmm.
So I guess we can whisper since we're all standing close here.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So, gosh, I really don't know what to say. I kind of just want to know what all has gone on because I haven't been with him since he's gone down there. I told him he had planned on going down there tomorrow to try again, had he not got the documents by tomorrow. And I told him I was going to go with him, and just to kind of make sure things went smoothly and kind of try to make it a little bit more clear to you guys and more transparent as to what's actually going on. That way you guys don't think we're looking at you. Obviously, I'll just be 100% transparent and honest, and I'm sure this is what happens. Obviously, I don't think you would be held responsible for what happened, but at the same time, if we found out like you guys knew of these issues and didn't refer him to a mental health resource center or like a crisis center or anything like that, obviously there would be issues with that.
Well, he was let go
with
6
you guys
months
knowing
ago.
it, and you and I alike, or all three of us standing here, are mandated reporters. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think that you guys would have known about anything and not said anything. I know personally how both of you are, and I know that when you get wind of something like that, you guys are very passionate and caring people and are going to do everything you possibly can to help. So that possibility in my mind is just the most slim. And that's not even really, like I said, that's not even really what we're mainly looking into.
Did Warner retire?
It would just be one of
I
those
don't
things
remember
like when we
putting
get
him
the
on medical
paperwork or
leave.
something and we see it and it, like we find it out, it'd be like, one of those things is like, oh, well, this happened. Okay. But more so, we're really just trying to get a background into his life and kind of where all of this began, to try to piece together what was going on and what he went through for him to take his own child's life. And, obviously take his own as well. And, when it comes to the criminality of the situation, yes, I guess you could say technically what he did to himself was not legal. But I mean, legally speaking, there's nothing that we can do about that when he's gone. But what we can do is try to see if there were any outside factors that encouraged him to take that action. Maybe there was someone in his life that was causing him this trouble and encouraged him to do what he did, or maybe gave him the ability to do what he did. And that's kind of like where we're trying to see what's going on and kind of track this from the stem and move chronologically through his life to try to track down the potential influencing factors that were there. And me personally, just not looking at this from a law enforcement perspective, me personally as a human, I don't believe that there was anything that would have influenced that or anybody that would have said, yeah, you should go kill your child. But I do think, and it's probably more likely than not because of the duties related to the fire department and the things that he may have seen during his time as a firefighter. And unfortunately, those things are taxing. We've all three of us have seen things that we wish we didn't see and seen things that we wish we could unsee. Unfortunately, that's just not we don't have that luxury with this job. So, my personal opinion is that's probably what happened. But, from a law enforcement perspective, we still have to, look into this and make sure there was no foul play or anything like that. And the best inside look that we can get would be from you guys because, you guys knew him better than we did. And, he worked for you guys, I would assume, on a frequent basis. I mean, he was at least a part-time firefighter, and I know he was there a good portion of the time. And so we can kind of get a look into his life and see, chronologically and piece it together like this is where it began, and unfortunately we now know where it ended. But
I agree, and like we're willing to be fully cooperative. I just think that investigator Hodges went about it in such a abrasive way that understandably people were resistant to talk with him or communicate with him, because I mean everyone's still grieving. Like I understand that the investigation is getting the information and getting it in a reasonable time manner is part of it, but I don't even know if they've had a funeral yet for him. I mean, he's not a member of the department anymore. He hasn't been for some time. So, like, it's a family funeral that is being arranged. I don't know anything of the arrangements for it. I don't even know if it's happened. But
of course,
I just think that when there are people who are grieving, to have someone basically interrogating them and then threatening them with warrants left, right, and center because they're not giving up information quick, in the time frame that this investigator is asking for, is very unreasonable, very unprofessional. And
Alerts
believe
are
me,
not muted. They
I
shouldn't be.
do not say the word unprofessional about other departments in this state very often. So for me to say that, it's because there are people who are hurting.
Correct.
And for someone to just not even seemingly care, like, I mean, yeah, I'm sure he's thrown out the words, "I'm sorry for your loss," blah, blah, blah. But when you then treat the person like a suspect instead of a grieving widow or families of them, it's what's probably causing the most strife and the most resistance that you're feeling on your side. And I think that, believe me, we're looking to see what documents we have, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think we have anything that's pertinent to your investigation. I think that, we haven't had any referrals. There's no disciplinary action on file. I mean, yeah, I'll be the first to tell you. Every now and then I had to tell him, Warner, calm the fuck down, man. You're acting like an ass. But he was always doing it with a sense of humor, or he was playing his guitar too loud, like whatever.
No
but
sound alerts check.
There was nothing ever that he did in our department that was like, hey man, like you need to, you're going on some suspension or something like that. It was never nothing like that. And so, I mean, from what I understand, I'm maybe Campbell can jog my memory as to who he spoke to, who Hodges spoke to, but someone said we don't have documents that for the documents you're asking for, we don't have anything on file. And the answer to that was, well, then I'm just going to get a warrant. Actually, Campbell, I don't want to skew your words. You said
that just happened. Basically, I was on the phone with Hodge, asking what was going on, and then he told me that he went to Morgan's house, which made a lot more sense. All I heard was that, hey, he's going to a firefighter's house, and that could have been literally anyone. So clearly we were upset about it. And then I let him know, look, I looked through what documents we have. We don't have anything imperative to the investigation. I can still send you his training files. I can send you, maybe some feedback files that we may have. But yeah, he's got no investigations on him. He's got nothing on him regarding his behavior or anything like that, because we always
I can tell you what I can read the specifics of the warrant because I have the paperwork.
Wow.
Off the top of my head, he filed it, and the warrant has not been, I mean, it's been filed on our end, but it hasn't been signed by a judge. It's not approved as of yet. But I can tell you he was looking for internal affairs investigations documents, if there are any, references to hospitals and mental health facilities, if there are any, any referrals related to aggressive behavior, insubordination, and suspensions that were given to him during his time with you guys. To, like I said, try to piece together this entire thing and rule out, foul play here. Because at the end of the day, he had a firearm. We don't know where it came from. And to backtrack a little bit, as far as going to a firefighter's house, if he went to I guess her name is Morgan. That's
Yeah,
his wife.
that made more sense. Yeah, when I found out.
Yeah, and just to clarify, obviously, yeah, she's a firefighter, of course, but the most important thing is she's the wife, and that's kind of where that comes to play, and that comes first over being a firefighter.
And allegedly, he threatened her with warrants too, which I can't confirm that, but that's
yeah,
what I'm
I
understanding.
don't know what he would be trying to get warrants for her for. I mean,
that could
I don't
be
know what she would
that
have.
could be incorrect information, but I just wanted to pass that along to you. If it's wrong, then I apologize, but that's what I'm hearing as well. So
Yes. So, I told Hodge that I'd get him the paperwork. Once I go through it, as well as talking to my chiefs. The last 2 days I am off duty. I'm not going to be working on that if I'm off duty, and the fact that he's very impatient, I think, is causing this strife as well.
You guys not have like a local records department or something that's able to divulge that information?
Well, like I said, we literally we looked through it, and there's nothing we can give you. The only stuff is training stuff, things like that. Any IA investigations is none on him. If it's behavioral, kind of more so out of state related, if you know what I mean, but we're not gonna obviously divulge in that because that's
right.
More.
Is there any way we could just get maybe a paper or something like that, just showing that you guys have no records on him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
we just have
honestly, I wish that was what was asked for, because when it was stated that we don't have anything, if you need I understand it, if you need a email stating we do not have any documents related to your inquiries, then we have no problem sending that. But
that would make the most sense, because it's the same way. It's the same way with everything. If we have a guy who we think has a gun, but he says he doesn't have a gun, unless we can prove that he has a gun, we can't get a warrant. I mean, just because we think he has a gun doesn't mean he does. And it's the same thing with you guys. Just because he thinks you guys have paperwork doesn't mean he has PC to get a warrant to look for paperwork that you guys say doesn't exist.
Well, that's what
unless he has
Hodge said,
something to prove it.
That is exactly what happened. Is I told him I can give him the training records, I can give him feedback, stuff like that, and then he said, I'm just gonna get a warrant out for it or whatever. He basically threatened warrants again, even though I just stated 10 seconds before that I'd get him what we do have.
Which honestly, any judge, if they heard that I'd like to get a warrant, and part of the response was, well, it was because they said they don't have anything, then what's the judge going to ask the investigator? Well, if they don't have anything, can you prove that they're hiding something? And where does this go?
Yeah, I guess for us it's just the way he's handling this entire situation. So
yeah. Let me ask you: has he spoken to either of you?
Hodge?
Obviously Campbell. Yeah, I know he spoke to you.
Not me.
Not you. Kind of from the beginning of this entire thing, you kind of just from your very first interaction regarding this incident to you pulling into the station, what all has been said and what all has been communicated with you from him?
I'll start since I'm the one. He came up to me on Tuesday, or he actually called me and said, "Hey, I need to speak with you." I talked with him. He indicated.
Cut you off. It's Tuesday the 3rd.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Continue.
He told me about what had happened, because at the time I didn't even know about this situation, so it was a very complete shock to me to suddenly hear about it. He told me, he needs to tell Morgan about this, because she quote unquote wasn't told at the time, but she ended up finding out through a press release the day before. So we went over to talk with her. She indicated she already knew. Hodge came up behind us, and he was upset that there was a press release, and apologized for that, because Morgan found out through the news instead of the people who knew about it, which is probably a problem in a different way. And then he asked me about the paperwork, and I said I'll have to look through and get to you on it, and I'll give you that. I explicitly said I'll give you anything that is, if there is anything. I told him that. And then the next 2 days, I was off duty, so obviously I couldn't look into that. And then today you all were asking me about it again, and Valentino, I did tell you that I'd be speaking to the chiefs about it, see what we have. And then we found out, admittedly, I assume it was Morgan that called you, Chief, about the Hodge coming up to us. It wasn't? Okay, so yeah, we heard from a different source that, quote, Hodge came up to a firefighter's house to interrogate them. That's what we heard. So obviously, without knowing the details, we were a little upset about that because we're starting to wonder if there's, Hodge is going to every single firefighter and asking these questions.
Let me ask you this question. So, when it comes to protocol, and obviously, I'm not sure if this has been a thing where this has happened before with him or if he's attempted before.
Mm-hmm.
If you run a call on someone who's attempted suicide or has uttered suicidal thoughts, what is your protocol when it comes to transporting them to a medical facility? And have you guys ever ran any calls as SAF? I'm talking about the entire department here. Have you guys ever ran any calls on him for any of those things?
On Warner?
Yes.
He retired himself from the department about 4 months ago, so I'd have to really think back on that. In terms of our protocols before Hillside, we would take him to the hospital and let them know, hey, this person is unstable. We need them to get some medical treatment or some mental health treatment, and they transferred them over to the rehabilitation place to be looked at.
So you mean the medics transferred him to the rehabilitation place?
The medics usually would transfer, yeah. But I understand that some law departments have their own, transports if the person is a little too mentally unstable, etc.
We kind of do the same thing you guys do.
Any unstable mental patient that we do transfer, we transfer to the hospital, and then they are looked at, make sure they're all right, and then I assume they're transferred to the mental rehabilitation center after.
Right. Okay. So was there ever any incidents where you guys had to respond out to a call for service for him in relation to any suicidal thoughts or suicidal tendencies?
I don't. Did we? I know we've had a couple of a female firefighter we had to do that with. I don't remember her name.
Yeah, that was unrelated. I don't believe so. I mean, I'm just finding out tonight that like Warner was having mental health issues that people were aware of, but like he didn't want help. But, I don't recall any calls that we've gone to regarding him.
Yeah,
I mean, if they had been calls when he was a firefighter with us, we would have had records stating that, and also it would have led to an investigation of, is he fit for duty? Is he fit for this department? But we don't have any records of that because nothing happened when he was a firefighter related to his mental health. And then on top of that, once he resigned, if there were any transports of him, like it wouldn't get flagged for any reason. So like the hospitals might have records on that, but I can't recall any.
Yes, and we do take due diligence when it comes to mental health. Today we actually just had to discuss putting a current firefighter on. We've got actually 2 firefighters. One I'm pretty sure is potentially going to be getting resigned from her position due to her mental health, leading her to doing some things that regarded. I don't know if I think you're a part of that. This department was part of that. It resulted in her getting arrested, so we're handling that, and we've also put another firefighter, which happens to be Morgan, on medical leave indefinitely until she is either fit for duty, which we need to get high approval from the state regarding that, because the state will need to assign her a therapist for that, and they need to give us basically the all clear. And that way, if anything happens past that, it's on the kind of the liability of the state at that point. But if they show that she is not clear for duty, then she'll probably be also, unfortunately, I don't want to say terminated, but forcefully retired. Because we do take mental health seriously. We've had to quote unquote fire past firefighters for showing that they cannot be fit for duty mentally.
So let me ask you me ask you this question, and actually, it's less of a question.
Okay.
I don't know. I get whatever. I'm just gonna say what I'm saying. So, when you guys run a call that involves, these type of things, do you guys require that a report be written to document these incidents?
In terms generally or against our firefighters?
I would say generally.
If the patient that we are working on is mentally unstable?
Correct.
I know we have the medical side where they have to, or they used to have to write a report on their patient to some extent. I don't actually 100% know. I don't think so, because we're there to provide him aid and then get him to the hospital. And at that point, it is up to the doctors there to indicate what further treatment they are, they need to have. It's not really on us at that point. We're just, to some extent, taxis for the unwell.
So, and if it is a firefighter,
If it is a firefighter, if we're treating our firefighter,
yes.
well, at that point, we know that they work with us. I'm sure anybody mentally unstable who we bring in, their work will eventually find out about it, and I would hope they would take precautions on it. But for us, we put them on medical leave and get them the help that they need. Only really had a few, so.
You're telling me with 100% certainty that you guys have never ran a call on Case and Warner for suicide attempts or suicide related tendencies?
From what I'm reading in the records, what I've read in the records, if we did, it wasn't put down. If he as a firefighter, there would be records 100%. So if it happened after he had retired from his position, then we wouldn't have record of it unless someone explicitly stated to us that this was Warner and they had the desire to put in a record for it. But because he's not our member, we don't, we had a record of every patient.
And I'm not trying to be rude here. You guys do understand that, if there was an incident that this happened and it wasn't documented on your behalf and there was nothing done about it, then there's a certain extent of liability there, right?
A liability for transferring a patient to the proper help?
Yes.
How is that our liability at the time that we give the patient to the hospital?
No, I'm saying if you guys have responded to a call of that situation and failed to transport him to the proper resources, and there was no incident to document it.
Are you referencing something in particular? I'm not following. You've asked that like 3 times now. I'm not understanding where you're coming from.
Yeah, what is he fucking trying to say? Like, once
Give me just 1 second.
we just transfer someone, and then it's up to the hospital to figure out where they need to go, not us. We're not fucking mental specialists.
Okay. As you can see here on the computer in front of us,
Prior incident.
and the body cam here that was provided from Captain Nina Montana's body cam. All right. You can see that in this body cam footage, Mr. Warner is sitting on the edge of a cliff at the same place that he unfortunately committed suicide several days ago. And medical personnel from San Andreas Fire Rescue were sent out, and Mr. Warner was let go and was not transported to any aftercare medical facility whatsoever.
When was this?
This is approximately 9 months prior, on the approximate date of about March 16th.
9 months, like we would have fucking records of that, man. He was sitting on the edge of the cliff. So
yes,
what?
ma'am. Okay,
so There's no records of this. We would have this in our records, and there's nothing on it. Well, let me check something. You said fire and rescue did respond?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, I see. Actually, there's a video of it. That's actually really cool.
Just gonna look at that too. Just give me a second.
Furthermore, he was found to be in possession of a handgun during this incident, and I believe that we actually seized that handgun.
I really hate that they're going off the basis that they're trying to blame us for liability, though, regardless of whether we tend to someone or not. We can't be blamed for someone killing themselves. Okay, well, without knowing which firefighters actually responded, because there could be I don't know if there could be a reason for it or not. It looks like there were law on scene as well. And to our knowledge, if the law are on scene, they are a priority on when it comes to suicide calls. That's what we've been told several times over the past years. So.
Yeah, it's actually true. We've been discouraged from handling these things. In fact,
right,
rather viciously.
But would you say, and I'm not relieving anybody in my department from responsibility for not doing the same thing, but would you say if law makes a decision that they are not going to provide treatment to a patient, that you guys as medical personnel are still obligated, despite what law says, to provide treatment to a patient under the Hippocratic Oath that your paramedics and medics swore to uphold?
Okay, well, here's the thing. If they do not want assistance, we cannot force them to go unless they're clearly unstable and law tell us to take them. That's the problem.
You guys have 5150 authority.
No, we don't. No, from what we've been told the complete opposite of that.
I can quote you where you guys do.
Well, then we were never told about it. We literally were told we are not law are allowed to do that.
We have been told repeatedly that it's not for us to handle. That's.
Yeah, we cannot take a unless they're unconscious and cannot if they cannot consent to not staying. If someone says I don't want to go, we have to follow that from what our policies state.
Would you be able to tell me who's told you guys don't? Because I'm looking here, and there was a general bulletin posted to all LEO and fire personnel on May 21st of 2022, stating it says specifically here, a mental health and voluntary examination, commonly referred to as a 5150 or Baker Act, by qualified personnel per the Code of Law, a law enforcement officer, commissioned officer with the fire and rescue, judicial officer, or physician. With any of the above listed personnel deems it necessary to place a subject under the provisions of an involuntary examination, the subject must meet the criteria listed below. And that criteria is the qualified personnel has reason to believe a said person has a mental illness, and because of that mental illness, either A or B, A, the person has refused voluntary examination after I can't even pronounce this word. I'm not going to try. After explanation and disclosure of the purpose of the examination, or B, a person is unable to determine for himself or herself whether the examination is necessary, and 2, either A, without care or treatment, said person is likely to suffer from neglect or refuse to care for himself or herself, and such neglect or refusal poses a real and present threat of substantial harm to his or her well-being, and it's not apparent that such harm may be avoided through the help of willing family members or friends of the provision of other services. And or B, there is substantial likelihood that without care or treatment, that person will cause serious bodily harm to self or others in the near future, as evidenced by recent behavior. And then it says, once these thresholds have been met, that said person will be transported to the nearest mental health receiving facility by LEO or SAFR, and the hold will remain in effect deemed necessary by a qualified medical professional. Subject will surrender any firearms in their care, custody, or control and will have firearm license revoked until petitioned by the court for reinstatement.
And this incident happened before that or after it?
I believe this incident did indeed happen before this, but what I'm trying to figure out, and this is what I asked before, is
Okay,
before
then,
Yes, it happened
this
before.
went
Yes,
out-
it
hang
happened.
on, hang on.
Yes, it
That's
happened
it right
before
there
that.
then, because
That's what I'm asking. Who
yeah.
gave you guys? Who told you guys had no
So
authority?
the entire reason
They did.
the entire reason why
all
that
the fucking
law
time,
came
man.
into being was because we were basically bid into or bullied into being told that we had no control over 5150s and that if LEO decided that that person had to be transported or otherwise, that was their decision and we had nothing to do with it. And because
Right.
it was a big to-do, it was fought, and that was what came out. So if you're trying to
Right.
scapegoat us into
No.
Let me finish. Because you're trying to quote something that came out after this incident. And I'm telling you that we were not at that point allowed to do our job the way we wanted to. And because we fought hard for it, we got the ability to do it. So if you can find me an incident that happened after that thing you just read, by all means, I'll discuss it. But
what I'm
now
trying to figure out,
it's
with
off the
this,
table.
with this situation, I'm not. I would appreciate it if you would understand what I'm saying here. I am trying to figure out who specifically informed you
9 months ago, couldn't tell you.
that you guys as a department were not allowed to 5150, because it doesn't. That just
Multiple
doesn't
people.
legally standing. That doesn't even just. I'm sorry, like whoever told you that was.
I agree.
It was yes. There's several. They probably don't even belong in your department or the PD department. We've had several PD officers say, "Hey, we're taking priority here on these suicide calls," even though it's just it is what it is. But yeah, we were told several times on a through emails and such.
Yeah, and we're not going to drag up something that happened 9 months ago or further on this investigation. There's no point. Like,
right,
I'm sorry.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to figure out here.
If anything, it's the law's fault then, because they were allowed to do that and we weren't.
Not necessarily to pursue any consequences. The more important thing is to pursue, the documentation of those incidents that apparently doesn't exist on either end.
And as you said, we didn't transport him, so there wouldn't be one.
Right.
So actually, you should actually ask your department regarding the possession of the firearm and also the fact that they, let him go.
100%. Like I said, I definitely will be digging into this and figuring out why the members of our department who responded to this call decided that someone on the edge of a cliff was not, with a gun was not 5150 material.
Right, and I cannot hold any of my paramedics liable for that when there was no law in place to allow us to take them in the first place.
Right.
I'm gonna be honestly, the medics that might have attended to him probably I don't even know if they're still in the department either. So
yeah, I'm not even sure. That's why, like I said,
rough.
if anything was to be pursued, it
Montana's
wouldn't even be
not
possible,
here. Yeah, we don't have
because
Montana.
they're no longer with you guys, and they've probably moved. And any charges that would be pushed on those specific medics involved, and and
no, they wouldn't because we
very
didn't.
Specific circumstance would have to be there for that to happen. So charges for that incident are out the window. I'm more so, like I said, trying to figure out if there's anything that we can do moving forward in the future to more thoroughly document these incidents, because we have a crisis intervention unit, and anytime something like that happens, there is very much supposed to be we have CIU reports, and anytime they interact with someone in a crisis, they are supposed to file those reports, and whether they did or didn't will be looked into. Obviously, this incident being so long ago, it's going to take a lot, because there's only, I think, one person from this incident that's still employed by the sheriff's department at this time. And I don't, I don't know everybody who was on that call. I can tell you for sure that one of the people who was on that call is no longer employed here.
Mm.
So it, like I said, it will most definitely be looked into on our end as well. But that's exactly what we're trying to figure out. And it's not even just targeting you guys; it's targeting anyone and everyone. Not necessarily targeting, but looking at anyone and everyone involved as a bigger picture. And if that means looking at our own people, then that's what it means. And with me being appointed to oversee the operations of our internal affairs unit, I will most definitely be looking into these incidents within the department. But looking at this from an investigative standpoint as well, we kind of have to look at everyone and everything as a whole and try to figure out, what may have been able to be done better than what was done. Because I think you guys can both look me in my eyes and say that, and I can look you in your eyes and say the same thing, that we don't want this to happen again. We don't. And, if the outcome of this situation is simply better policies on both ends that can hopefully track these situations as they happen and prevent them, then that sounds like a win in both of our departments. And our policy is already there when it comes to these crisis calls, that every crisis call, especially if it's involving something of that nature, is supposed to have a report. It's supposed to.
Well, keep in mind that that's a requirement of your department, and obviously we have different policies,
of course,
and we abide by them, and no other department will have a jurisdiction to tell us how to do that otherwise.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm simply, making a suggestion. Maybe, from me to you is, is there a possible way that we can maybe have a policy or something in place to help both of us? If one of your firefighters has an incident like this, our policy helps you guys because you guys are able to, find out that there was a crisis report on one of our firefighters. Like, we need to look into this, and we can help them. And it'd be the same thing if one of you guys found one of our deputies on the edge of a cliff with a gun, and you wrote a report on him. It would help
Danger
us
zone
extensively.
Thank you for the follow.
Because now we have something that we can see, like, hey, this deputy's having a hard time. This, maybe we need to temporarily put them on a leave and get them mental health resources, and that way, at the end of the day, we're here to work together. And, losing a firefighter is just as upsetting and, sad as losing one of our own. Because at the end of the day, we all work together. We're all here to support the same goal, and that's to,
Yes, let me just stop you there. We know that. You don't have to tell us that. We know that. And I'm just letting you know, like, we do have a 100% success rate of when someone is in crisis and needs help, we get them to it. But 9 months ago or more, there was a different culture that didn't readily allow us to do that. And that's in the past now. And I think it's irrelevant to anything we're discussing here or this investigation. And I think it's a waste of time to even discuss. Because, was he in crisis back then? Absolutely. Could we have helped him better? Absolutely. Did we have the tools to do it? Not at all, because we were discouraged from it. So if we can move on from this topic onto something that would probably be more pertinently helpful, that'd be great.
Let's go.
And to clarify, I don't know your department's policies. I don't have your SOP sitting on my desk, so I don't know what your department policies are now, let alone 9 months ago, and that's why this situation is being brought up. But nor am I, in any position where I really care to have your SOP or look into your policies, because I'm not a firefighter. I don't need to. But to get back to what you guys came here for, I'm going to look into everything that you guys are telling me with our investigator, and I'm going to make sure that that situation's handled. And if that means I have to assign or have our chief investigator assign a new detective to the case, then That's what that means. But I'm going to make sure that from here on out, you know, the interactions and relations between us and you guys are going to be professional and are going to be, you know, respectful to you guys considering the situation. And again, I told you this on the phone. I do apologize that, you know, you were, you know, I guess treated the way that you say you were. And I would not hope that for anyone involved. But, you know, at the end of the day, and we had this discussion the other day with, you know, Campbell and I, in situations like these, we got to work together. And I know this is hard for you guys more than it is us. Not to say that it's not hard for us, but it is definitely harder on you guys than it is anyone else. And it's hard to want to work in a time of grieving. Trust me, I know. You know, every time one of our deputies gets shot, I still have to come to work and put my badge on and go out and put a straight face on. And that's I don't care about how professional I sound. That's fucking sad and it hurts. And I know you guys are going through the same thing right now, where you'd rather be at home and lay in your bed and grieve and be upset, but you've taken a job to protect, and unfortunately, you may not be getting as much time as what you deserve. But I can, like I said, I can promise you guys that from here on out, we're gonna try to be compassionate. We're gonna try to, you know, come about this situation a lot better, and try to make this entire thing fair for everyone. And, you know, giving some time to grieve is fair. Obviously, you know, to an extent, there's still things that are going to need to be done, but there's a certain way about going about those things during that time. And it's not disrespectful, and it's not to demand things, and then, you know, threaten jail or repercussions if they're not given. So.
Appreciate that. Well, is there anything else you need from us, or?
No, if you guys could get that email over to me, just affirming you guys have no records or anything like that. Just, you know, you don't have to rush. Take your time, because, you know, talking to you, I know there's no records, so an email confirmation doesn't really matter significantly until and if this ever decides to go to court and the family decides to, you know, up and try to sue one of our departments or something like that. But, you know, if you could just try to get that over to me, and you know, we're gonna look into this as best as possible, and, you know, as things come into play and different, you know, possibilities come up, you know, they are gonna be brought up to you guys. And, you know, like this situation that I just brought up, you know, yes, I brought it up, but you've informed me at that time you had no policy or no authority to 5150, and so we just threw that out the window. It's going to be the same thing with anything else that comes up. We're going to bring it up. We're going to confirm what policies you had at the time and what your capabilities were at that current time. And, you know, if it's something that you guys didn't have policies on, and for whatever reason you guys weren't given the resources to react properly, then that could start out the window too. But like I said, our goal here is not to put anybody in handcuffs and send anybody to the slammer. You know, our goal is to seek justice for the family and everyone involved, and get the family what they deserve. And so, that's really all I have.
Okay. We'll get that email to you.
All right. Well, like I said, again, certainly appreciate you guys, and again, I'm very sorry for your loss, and hope that, you know, hope that things can heal for you guys and you guys can recover from this. And I know you will. You guys are, I mean, you two as people are both very strong. And if anybody from your department or even you guys need somebody to just sit down and talk to, just to get things off your chest and vent, I'm personally always here.
Oh,
I will sit down and listen to anyone and everyone who needs to talk and just wants to, have someone to lean on in a time of need. So.
all right. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, you guys have a better rest of your day, okay?
You too.
Sounds good. You too. Thank you.
All right. You guys know your way out, or need help?
Yeah,
I
we're
believe
good.
so.
Thank you.
Damn, dude. What a conversation. Do I know the way out? Here. It's over here. There we go. We got it.
I knew that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to go home at this point. God damn it, you locked the door. I don't even know what to say.
I wanted to go down here to resolve all of this, and I thought we'd thing like that investigator and everything, and it just feels like just more and more pressure on us
Mm-hmm.
for no reason.
I still feel like they were trying to blame us too. Like, you could help someone as much as you can, and they could still, at the end of the day, put a bullet into their own skull, and it is no one's fault.
Yeah, and we had different policies back then than we do now. If that happened, a month ago, we would have had a way of handling it, and he would have gotten the help he needed. And what
Yeah.
can you do?
Yeah, 9 months ago, I don't even believe that whoever the medics were, I don't even believe they're with us anymore, so we can't even talk to them about it now.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you who they were, but
Well, I hope at the very least they assign a different detective for this, but I don't think they will.
yeah, that was my recommendation to him. Like, sorry, but
He's already built bad blood amongst everyone, so...
yeah, and I mean that word's gonna get around the station about this detective who's going around grilling people, including the widow. A week after her husband kills their child and kills himself, and he's out there grilling her. Like, yeah, sorry. At that point, it's true what they say about firefighters sticking together and being a family. And if that's the way we're going to be treated and how the widow's going to be treated, then yeah, you're damn right. People are going to turn their backs to you. But, at that point, the sheriff's office has to decide, is it worth having bad blood between departments, or should we maybe put somebody else on this investigation who will actually have an ounce of compassion and will actually do this the right way and be gentle about it, understanding what we're all going through. And I hope they go with that instead of the other.
Mm-hmm. Alright, where are we headed now?
I guess home.
Alright. Do you mind if I just stay at your place for the time being?
Yeah, you left your car at my place, didn't you?
I walked, actually. Which is why I don't wanna walk all the way back.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I got the spare bedroom all set up anyway.
Yeah. Damn, man, this is some spicy fucking RP. Oh, who knew a perma would cause all this?
I mean, shit, the incident's so fresh. I haven't even had a chance to talk to Kanai. You know,
Yeah, like I said, on Tuesdays when I even found out it happened, there wasn't even a, we weren't even told as higher ups of the fire department this happened. So it's a stop sign, by the way.
I know. Yeah, and why would we be like?
Where is he going?
He wasn't an active firefighter, so it's not like we'd be privy to that information, like that right away.
I see. Mm-hmm. The fact that Kenai found out about her own husband and child through a news source is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's unreal.
They want to talk about fuck ups there, then.
Yeah, like where was the accountability of, notifying the next of kin before the media can put it takes a little while for the media to put an article out. Like, you think a phone call would be soon, a little quicker.
Yeah, well, whatever. We'll get through it.
No one's racing that up the flagpole, but no, put us under the spotlight.
We'll get through it, and hopefully, the people who need to grieve will get to grieve, and...
Absolutely.
It's been a long time since I streamed SAF this long. Holy fuck. Is this engine... No. We do need more of this spicy ass drama.
Okay, come on. I hate my neighbors so much.
Yeah.
I just want to move back to a road that has lines.
I want to go back to a house that still doesn't have Christmas decorations,
All right, look, I've been busy,
Wait,
okay?
Can I get out before you get into the garage?
Yeah, I wasn't going to put you up against the wall.
Oh, just in case.
That ship has sailed. All right, have a good night.
Wow. Good night, Chief. Alright, I need a raid list. We're not doing a Red Dead stream after this 4-hour stream. Holy fuck, what a day, man. Props to everything, man. That was fucking amazing. Wow, we've been streaming so long we went through a full day cycle. Does it make sense to bring the history up to your character? Whatever. It's RP, man. Alrighty, we're actually not just gonna raid, we're gonna end it here, guys. You all have a good night. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. See what more comes out of this story. Have a good night, and I'll see you all... Hold on. I'll see you all later.